The Roswell Incident, a turning point in UFO lore. In the wide desert plains near Roswell, New Mexico, the summer of 1947 brought an event that would forever be etched into the fabric of UFO mythology. A local rancher, Mac Brazel, stumbled upon a strange collection of debris scattered across his property. Lightweight metallic material, oddly shaped pieces of what appeared to be foil, and structural elements that defied simple explanation. At first, Brazel thought it might be some sort of downed aircraft or experimental military equipment, but he didn't realize that his discovery would become the spark for one of the most enduring and debated tales of extraterrestrial encounters. The story reached a fever pitch when the Roswell Army Airfield, RAF, issued a press release stating that they had recovered a flying disc. This announcement, reported in local and national newspapers, sent waves of curiosity and excitement across the country. UFO sightings had been making headlines around the same time, most notably Kenneth Arnold's highly publicized sighting of 9 saucer-like objects near Mount Rainier just weeks earlier. The Roswell incident seemed to confirm the notion that something extraordinary was occurring in the skies above America. Yet, just as quickly as the headlines appeared, the official narrative changed. Within a day, the military issued a retraction, claiming that what had been recovered was not a flying disc, but rather a conventional weather balloon. They displayed remnants of what they said was the true object: flimsy foil, balsa wood, and a torn rubber balloon to the press. The initial fervor surrounding the story began to fade, and Roswell seemed poised to slip quietly into history. But it didn't. Instead, the Roswell incident grew into a legend, fueled by a combination of government secrecy, witness testimonies, and the burgeoning interest in unidentified flying objects. In the years that followed, individuals claiming first-hand knowledge of the event began to step forward. Some asserted that the material recovered from the crash site was unlike anything earthly, describing it as unbreakable and impervious to heat or pressure. Others suggested that the military had recovered not just debris, but alien bodies, small, humanoid figures that were whisked away to a secure location for study. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Roswell had become a touchstone for UFO researchers and conspiracy theorists. The publication of books like The Roswell Incident by Charles Berlitz and William Moore brought the story to a wider audience, presenting detailed accounts of alleged government cover-ups and extraterrestrial technology. Over the next several decades, documentaries, interviews, and conferences continued to fuel interest in Roswell, turning it into a cultural phenomenon. The town itself embraced its notoriety, opening UFO-themed museums and hosting annual festivals that draw thousands of visitors eager to explore the mysteries of that fateful summer. Adding complexity to the tale was the U.S. Air Force's declassified report in the 1990s. According to their explanation, the debris recovered near Roswell was part of Project Mogul, a highly classified program aimed at detecting Soviet nuclear tests, using high-altitude balloons equipped with specialized sensors. The unusual materials and the secrecy surrounding the project, they argued, led to confusion and the initial misunderstanding about the nature of the debris. While this explanation was detailed and grounded in historical records, it did little to quiet those who believed in the extraterrestrial origins of the Roswell crash. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Roswell story is how it evolved over time. Early accounts focused primarily on the debris field, but later narratives introduced additional elements: witnesses who claimed to have seen alien bodies, rumors of secret hangars at Area 51, and theories about reverse engineering alien technology. These additions turned Roswell into a multifaceted mystery that continues to captivate the public's imagination. The Roswell incident also marked a turning point in how the public viewed government transparency. Many people saw the rapid shift in the military's story from a flying disc to a weather balloon as evidence of a cover-up. This perception, whether justified or not, has lingered in the collective consciousness, shaping how people approach claims of UFO sightings and other unexplained phenomena. Roswell became the lens through which future alleged encounters would be viewed, influencing public skepticism, media coverage, and even official investigations into unidentified aerial phenomena. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of Roswell is the way it sparked a global fascination with the possibility of extraterrestrial life. It inspired countless books, films, and television series, helping to cement the idea of the UFO as a cultural icon. Even as new sightings and incidents have emerged over the decades, Roswell remains the benchmark against which all others are measured, a symbol of the unknown, a reminder of the potential for discovery, and a question mark at the edge of our understanding. More than 75 years later, the Roswell incident still stirs debate and curiosity. Whether it was truly a weather balloon, a secret military project, or something from beyond the stars, Roswell serves as a compelling example of how a single event can ignite the imagination and keep people pondering the mysteries of the universe. For those who believe we are not alone, Roswell is not just a story. It is the beginning of a conversation that continues to this day. The Phoenix Lights, a modern UFO mystery. On the evening of March 13, 1997, thousands of residents in Arizona and neighboring states looked to the skies and witnessed one of the most well-documented and widely seen UFO sightings in modern history. The Phoenix Lights, as they came to be known, involved a series of mysterious lights arranged in a V-shaped formation that slowly moved across the sky, accompanied by reports of a massive, sonal, triangular craft. Over the years, this event has become a cornerstone of UFO lore, inspiring documentaries, books, and intense debate about what was seen that night. The sightings began early in the evening when witnesses in Nevada reported strange lights overhead. As the lights traveled southward into Arizona, they were described by countless observers as an enormous boomerang-shaped or triangular craft, blocking out stars as it passed silently above. Witnesses ranged from casual stargazers to law enforcement officers and military personnel, all struck by the object's sheer size. Some estimated it to be over a mile wide, and its eerie, soundless glide through the night sky. The event reached its peak when the lights passed over the Phoenix metropolitan area. Thousands of residents saw them, and many took to their phones to call local authorities, news stations, and the nearby Luke Air Force Base. Some witnesses described multiple lights arranged in a tight formation, while others claimed to see a single, solid object with glowing points of light along its edges. For many, the experience was awe-inspiring, even unsettling, as they watched the lights move slowly across the sky before disappearing into the darkness. Not long after the initial sightings, a second set of lights appeared near Phoenix, stationary and arranged in a linear pattern. These lights, seen later in the evening, were ultimately explained by the military as flares dropped from an A-10 Warthog aircraft conducting training exercises at the Barry Goldwater Range. While this explanation satisfied some skeptics, it did little to address the earlier, moving V-shaped formation that had been seen by thousands of people over a much wider area. In the days and weeks that followed, the Phoenix Lights became the subject of intense media coverage and public speculation. Eyewitness accounts continued to pour in, each adding new details or variations on the event. Some described seeing individual lights that maintained a consistent distance from one another, while others insisted that the lights were part of a single, massive craft. Videos of the lights, captured by residents using home camcorders, circulated widely, fueling debates over their origin. Even the state's governor at the time, Fife Symington, weighed in. Initially dismissive of the sighting, he later admitted that he had seen the lights himself and found the experience otherworldly. Over the years, the Phoenix Lights have remained a topic of fascination and controversy. Skeptics and debunkers point to the military's explanation of flares, as well as the lack of hard evidence to conclusively identify the lights as anything extraordinary. Supporters of the UFO hypothesis, however, argue that the sheer number of witnesses, the detailed and consistent descriptions of the craft, and the lack of definitive proof for a conventional explanation all point to something truly unexplained. The Phoenix Lights also brought renewed attention to the broader phenomenon of mass UFO sightings. Unlike isolated encounters seen by one or two witnesses, the Phoenix Lights involved thousands of people across multiple states, many of whom were credible observers with no previous interest in UFOs. The event demonstrated that UFO sightings are not always confined to remote locations or unreliable sources. They can happen in major cities, observed by people from all walks of life. To this day, the Phoenix Lights remain an unsolved mystery. They stand as a reminder that even in an age of advanced technology and near-constant surveillance, the skies can still surprise us. For those who witnessed the event, the experience left an indelible mark, a sense of wonder and curiosity about what might be out there. And for the broader public, the Phoenix Lights continue to spark conversations about the unknown, the possibility of extraterrestrial visitation, and the enduring allure of the UFO phenomenon. Area 51 and government secrets, nestled in a remote corner of the Nevada desert, lies a place that has become synonymous with mystery, secrecy, and extraterrestrial intrigue. Officially known as the Nevada Test and Training Range, the facility commonly referred to as Area 51 has captivated public imagination for decades. Its association with classified government projects, advanced aerospace testing, and alleged alien encounters has made it one of the most talked about locations on Earth, even as its operations remain largely veiled in secrecy. Area 51 was established in the 1950s during the height of the Cold War as a testing ground for cutting-edge military technology. Its remote location, surrounded by mountains and vast desert expanses, made it an ideal spot for conducting experiments away from prying eyes. Early on, the facility played a key role in developing the U-2 spy plane, a high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft that became a cornerstone of U.S. intelligence efforts. Over the years, other advanced aircraft, such as the A-12 Oxcart and the F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter, were tested at Area 51, solidifying its reputation as a hub for top-secret aviation research. While the official story paints Area 51 as a site dedicated to experimental aircraft and weapons systems, rumors of something far more extraordinary have swirled around it since the 1980s. That's when a man named Bob Lazar claimed to have worked at a facility near Area 51 called S4, where he allegedly observed and reverse-engineered extraterrestrial spacecraft. Lazar's sensational story included descriptions of saucer-shaped craft, exotic propulsion systems, and advanced technology that he said was not of this Earth. Though his credibility has been hotly debated, his claims added fuel to the growing fire of conspiracy theories surrounding Area 51. Over the years, the secrecy shrouding Area 51 has led many to speculate that it is a storage site for crashed UFOs, alien bodies, and advanced technology acquired through clandestine means. The government's tight-lipped stance on the facility, refusing to acknowledge its existence for decades, only deepened public curiosity. even after the CIA declassified documents in 2013, acknowledging the site's role in developing reconnaissance aircraft. Questions about its other potential activities remained unanswered. One of the most enduring narratives is that Area 51 is the final destination for debris from the Roswell incident of 1947, where an alleged UFO crash was reported in New Mexico. According to some accounts, materials recovered from the Roswell site were transported to Area 51 for analysis, sparking rumors of alien autopsies and secret experiments. While no verifiable evidence has ever surfaced to confirm these stories, they have become a central part of the UFO folklore that surrounds the base. The intense secrecy has also fostered a culture of speculation and paranoia. The government's use of restricted airspace, constant surveillance, and heavily armed guards has made Area 51 a symbol of hidden truths. In the absence of transparency, every official denial and classified operation fuels the belief that something extraordinary must be happening within its perimeter. For many, Area 51 is not just a testing ground for aircraft. It's a modern-day Pandora's box that, if opened, might reveal the ultimate proof of extraterrestrial life. In recent years, the mystique of Area 51 has only grown. Popular culture, from movies to television series, has frequently portrayed the site as a focal point for alien research and government cover-ups. Documentaries, books, and conspiracy forums continue to analyze every available detail, from satellite images to insider testimonials. Even events like the 2019 Storm Area 51 social media campaign, which began as a joke but drew significant attention, underscore the deep fascination that people have with this enigmatic location. Yet, despite all the speculation, Area 51 remains a place of unanswered questions. The reality is likely more mundane than the rumors suggest. Advanced aircraft development, experimental propulsion systems, and cutting-edge surveillance technologies. But the lack of official explanations and the lingering air of secrecy ensure that Area 51 will continue to be a magnet for curiosity and conspiracy theories. For those who believe that humanity is not alone in the universe, Area 51 represents a tantalizing enigma. It is a symbol of the unknown, a place where government secrecy meets the human desire to explore the great cosmic mysteries. Whether it's a hub for next-generation aircraft or a vault for alien technology, Area 51 reminds us that there are still places in the modern world that can inspire wonder, skepticism, and endless fascination. Crop circles, phenomenon, scattered across fields, appearing seemingly overnight, crop circles have mystified and captivated people for decades. These intricate patterns, ranging from simple geometric shapes to elaborate computer-like designs, have sparked endless debate about their origins, meaning, and connection to extraterrestrial phenomena. While some crop circles are known to be human-made, others have left researchers puzzled, inspiring theories that span from advanced physics to alien communication. Crop circles have been reported for centuries, with early accounts dating back to the late 17th century. However, it wasn't until the late 20th century, particularly in the 1970s and 1980s, that they gained international attention. The Wiltshire countryside in England became ground zero for these enigmatic formations, as intricate patterns began appearing in fields of wheat, barley, and other crops. The sheer size, complexity, and precision of some crop circles defied conventional explanation, prompting speculation that something otherworldly might be at work. One of the most intriguing aspects of crop circles is the way the plants are flattened. In genuine cases, the stalks are often bent at their nodes rather than broken, and they appear to have been subjected to heat or microwave radiation, causing the fibers to soften and bend without snapping. This characteristic has led some scientists to propose that the circles are created by a localized energy source, an unknown electromagnetic force capable of shaping crops into highly detailed patterns. In some cases, residual magnetic fields or strange radiation signatures have been reported within the formations, adding to the mystery. Despite these unusual characteristics, skeptics have pointed to the fact that many crop circles are indeed human-made. In 1991, two men from England, Doug Bauer and Dave Chorley, publicly claimed responsibility for many of the most famous formations. Using simple tools like planks and ropes, they demonstrated how they had created intricate designs, sparking a wave of hoaxer activity around the world. Following their admission, other groups also began making crop circles, sometimes as art projects, social commentary, or outright pranks. As a result, the line between authentic anomalies and deliberate hoaxes became increasingly blurred. Yet, even with this acknowledgement of human involvement, not all crop circles can be easily explained. Some formations appear under conditions that seem almost impossible to replicate, emerging in remote locations, manifesting in just a few hours during the night, or appearing with details so fine that they resemble three-dimensional images when viewed from above. Certain patterns seem to reference mathematical principles, astronomical alignments, or sacred geometry, fueling speculation that they carry encoded messages from advanced intelligences. Proponents of the extraterrestrial hypothesis argue that crop circles might be a form of communication, a non-verbal language meant to convey scientific or philosophical concepts. Another theory links crop circles to natural phenomena. Some researchers suggest that plasma vortices, rotating columns of charged particles, could be responsible. According to this idea, these vortices, energized by the Earth's magnetic field or atmospheric conditions, could interact with the crops in a way that creates symmetrical patterns. This hypothesis would account for the bent, not broken, stalks and the unusual electromagnetic readings reported in certain formations. However, the complexity of many crop circles remains difficult to reconcile with this natural explanation, leaving the door open for alternative interpretations. Crop circles have also found a place in popular culture, appearing in movies, television shows, and music videos. They've become a shorthand for the unexplained, a visual cue that suggests something strange and extraordinary has occurred. Their enduring appeal lies in the tension between the known and the unknown, the artistic and the scientific, the terrestrial and the cosmic. In the end, crop circles remain a phenomenon that straddles the line between mystery and human ingenuity. Abduction narratives and sleep paralysis. Among the countless stories of close encounters with UFOs, alien abduction narratives stand out for their deeply personal, often unsettling nature. These accounts describe ordinary people being taken from their homes, cars, or even beds in the dead of night, subjected to strange examinations, and returned with missing time or fragmented memories. Over the decades, such stories have become a major facet of UFO culture, sparking debates over their validity, psychological roots, and what they reveal about our fears, hopes, and the limits of human perception. Many abduction experiences begin with a sense of unease, strange lights shining through the windows, a sudden inability to move, or an overwhelming feeling of dread. Witnesses often describe waking up to find themselves paralyzed, unable to call out or resist, as they are floated out of their homes, through walls or ceilings, into waiting craft. Once inside, they recall encounters with beings that vary from the archetypal greys, with large eyes and slender bodies, to otherworldly creatures that defy traditional descriptions. These beings conduct examinations that resemble medical procedures, scans, tissue samples, and even implantation of mysterious devices. One of the most common elements of abduction narratives is the phenomenon of missing time. Witnesses frequently report a gap in their memory, sometimes lasting minutes, hours, or even days. They might wake up in a different location, discover that their clocks no longer align with the events they remember, or feel as though hours have passed in what seemed like moments. This disorienting experience often leaves people questioning their own sanity, wondering whether they truly encountered extraterrestrial entities or if their minds played tricks on them. While many abduction accounts share these core elements, the explanations for them are varied and often controversial. Skeptics frequently attribute abduction narratives to psychological phenomena, with one of the most prominent theories being that of sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis occurs when the body transitions between sleep and wakefulness, leaving an individual temporarily unable to move or speak. In this state, people can experience vivid hallucinations, including the sensation of an intruder in the room, feelings of pressure on the chest, and a sense of being taken by an unseen force. These experiences can be so vivid and terrifying that they become indistinguishable from what one might imagine as an actual alien abduction. For those who experience it, sleep paralysis can feel profoundly real, and when coupled with cultural imagery of UFOs and extraterrestrials, it's easy to see how these episodes could be interpreted as encounters with aliens. The brain, already in a highly suggestive state, may weave dreamlike fragments into a coherent narrative of abduction. However, not all abduction reports can be easily dismissed as sleep paralysis, as some occur during waking hours or involve multiple witnesses who recount similar events. Beyond sleep paralysis, other psychological explanations have been proposed. Some researchers suggest that abduction narratives may be a form of memory distortion, triggered by stress, trauma, or even hypnosis. Hypnotic regression, often used by individuals seeking to recover details of their experiences, has proven controversial. Critics argue that it can create false memories, implanting details that weren't there before. Supporters, on the other hand, claim that hypnosis helps individuals uncover buried truths that the conscious mind cannot easily access. Abduction stories also resonate with deeply rooted cultural and archetypal themes. Comparisons have been drawn between modern alien abduction accounts and historical tales of encounters with supernatural entities, such as fairies, demons, or spirits. In many cultures, these beings were thought to abduct humans, conduct mysterious rituals, and return them altered or enlightened. The similarities suggest that abduction narratives might tap into universal human fears and desires. The fear of loss of control, the hope for contact with higher powers, and the search for meaning in a vast and mysterious universe. In the end, alien abduction narratives are as much about the human psyche as they are about the possibility of extraterrestrial encounters. They challenge our understanding of memory, perception, and the nature of reality itself. Whether seen as evidence of otherworldly visitors, a product of sleep paralysis and cultural influence, or something in between, these accounts offer a glimpse into the profound ways in which the unknown can shape our fears, beliefs, and our search for answers in the vast cosmos. The Betty and Barney Hill abduction, one of the earliest and most well-known alien abduction cases in modern UFO lore, occurred in September 1961. Betty and Barney Hill, a married couple from New Hampshire, reported a series of events that would become a template for many abduction narratives to follow. Their experience included missing time, strange memories, and an encounter with beings who appeared to have come from beyond Earth. It was a case that not only captured public attention, but also sparked serious discussion among UFO researchers psychologists, and skeptics alike. The incident began while the Hills were returning home from a vacation in Canada. Driving late at night through the rural highways of New Hampshire, they noticed a bright light in the sky that seemed to follow them. Initially, thinking it might be a star or an airplane, they grew increasingly alarmed as the light appeared to move erratically and draw closer. Barney eventually stopped the car to get a better look through binoculars and saw what he described as a large, silent craft hovering nearby. He claimed to see humanoid figures inside the craft, peering down at them. Fearful, the couple drove off quickly, hoping to leave the object behind. However, shortly afterward their memories became fragmented. The next thing they knew, they were much farther down the road, with no clear recollection of how they got there. By the time they arrived home, they realized several hours were unaccounted for. Their watches had stopped working, Barney's shoes were scuffed, and Betty's dress was torn and had an unexplained pink powder on it. Both reported feeling disoriented, anxious, and unnerved by what had happened. In the weeks that followed, Betty began having vivid dreams about the experience. She described being taken aboard a spacecraft, examined by strange grey-skinned beings, and shown a star map that she later claimed represented the beings' homeworld. Barney, though initially more skeptical and reluctant to talk about what happened, eventually recalled similar details under hypnosis. Both described medical procedures and a general sense of confusion and helplessness during the encounter. Their case gained national attention after it was reported in a Boston newspaper and later published in the book, The Interrupted Journey by John G. Fuller. The Hills story became the first widely publicized alien abduction account, establishing many of the tropes and details, such as the grey-skinned beings, missing time, and medical examinations, that would reappear in countless reports over the following decades. Betty and Barney's willingness to come forward and their detailed accounts lent a certain credibility to their claims, even as skeptics argued that their experiences were likely influenced by stress, sleep deprivation, or cultural influences. Critics pointed out that science fiction had already begun to popularize the idea of extraterrestrial visitors by the time of the Hills encounter. Skeptics also noted that hypnosis, which was used extensively in the case, can lead to the creation of false memories. They argued that the Hills' memories of alien beings and spacecraft could have been unconsciously influenced by their own expectations or by leading questions from hypnotists. Additionally, some skeptics suggested that the initial sighting could have been a misidentified aircraft or celestial object, with the rest of the narrative developing later, under hypnosis, and through Betty's dreams. Despite these criticisms, the Hills themselves consistently maintained that their experience was genuine. They appeared sincere in their belief that something extraordinary had happened to them, and their story remained consistent over time. For many UFO researchers, the Hills account provided a framework for studying other alleged abductions, offering clues about the psychological and physical effects reported by witnesses. The Betty and Barney Hill case remains one of the most thoroughly documented and debated abduction stories in UFO history. It continues to be cited as evidence of potential extraterrestrial contact, as well as a key example of how human perception, memory, and cultural influences can shape extraordinary narratives. More than 60 years later, the Hills experience still raises questions about what we know and don't know about the phenomenon of alien abduction. Ancient astronaut theories, the idea that humanity might have been visited by extraterrestrial beings in the distant past, is a concept that has sparked intrigue and debate for decades. Popularized in the 1960s and 1970s by writers such as Erich von Däniken, ancient astronaut theories propose that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations played a direct role in shaping early human culture, religion, and technological development. These theories suggest that alien visitors either influenced or guided ancient societies, leaving behind artifacts, architectural wonders, and mythological accounts that hint at their presence. Proponents of the ancient astronaut hypothesis point to numerous archaeological sites, ancient texts, and unexplained phenomena as potential evidence of alien intervention. The pyramids of Egypt, the massive stone statues of Easter Island, and the intricate lines of the Nazca Desert in Peru are often cited as examples of structures that could not have been built using the technology and knowledge available at the time. Supporters argue that these achievements might be explained by extraterrestrial assistance, whether in the form of direct construction, technological gifts, or advanced mathematical and astronomical knowledge imparted to ancient humans. In addition to monumental architecture, ancient myths and religious texts are frequently reinterpreted through the lens of ancient astronaut theories. Stories of gods descending from the heavens, fiery chariots in the sky, and divine beings bestowing advanced knowledge are seen by proponents as descriptions of alien encounters encoded in the language and cultural understanding of the time. Texts such as the Indian Mahabharata and Vedas, the Sumerian tablets, and certain biblical accounts, like the vision of Ezekiel, are often cited as containing potential references to advanced technology and otherworldly beings. One of the most popular examples comes from the ancient Sumerian civilization, where texts describe the Anunnaki, deities who descended from the heavens to guide and teach humanity. Ancient astronaut theorists interpret these stories as references to extraterrestrial visitors who may have genetically engineered humans or provided the impetus for civilization to flourish. They point to depictions of winged figures and curious artifacts, like the so-called Bag of the Gods, found in various ancient carvings, as potential clues to this otherworldly influence. Similarly, the Nazca lines, vast geoglyphs etched into the desert floor, are often considered a prime candidate for ancient alien involvement. These massive figures of animals, plants, and geometric shapes are so large that they can only be fully appreciated from the air. Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the lines could have been created to signal to or communicate with extraterrestrial visitors, serving as a kind of landing strip or message visible from above. Critics, however, argue that the lines were likely ceremonial or astronomical in nature, created by human ingenuity and cultural expression rather than alien intervention. Despite the enthusiasm of supporters, ancient astronaut theories remain highly controversial. Mainstream archaeologists and historians point out that many of the supposed impossible accomplishments of ancient societies are well within the known capabilities of humans at the time. With careful planning, ingenuity, and sheer determination, ancient engineers were able to construct complex monuments, align them with astronomical events, and develop intricate systems of mathematics and writing, all without the need for extraterrestrial help. Skeptics also argue that ancient astronaut theories often underestimate the intelligence and resourcefulness of early civilizations. By attributing impressive achievements to aliens rather than human ingenuity, these theories can be seen as diminishing the accomplishments of our ancestors. The theory's reliance on speculative interpretations of myths and symbols, as well as its tendency to overlook well-documented historical and archaeological explanations, has led many experts to dismiss it as pseudoscience. Ultimately, ancient astronaut theories serve as a reminder that the human search for meaning, origin, and connection to the cosmos is as old as civilization itself. Whether interpreted as evidence of extraterrestrial intervention or as a reflection of our own creative imagination, these ideas continue to provoke thought and inspire wonder about what might be possible in the vast, untapped history of our universe. The Majestic 12 Conspiracy. Among the many conspiracy theories tied to the UFO phenomenon, few are as enduring or controversial as the Majestic 12, often abbreviated to MJ12. This alleged secret group is said to be a clandestine committee of military officials, scientists, and government leaders formed in the late 1940s to investigate UFOs and manage extraterrestrial affairs. First introduced to the public in the 1980s through a series of leaked documents, the MJ12 narrative has fueled speculation about what the government might be hiding, becoming a cornerstone of UFO conspiracy lore. The story of Majestic 12 begins with a set of documents that allegedly surfaced in 1984. These documents included a memo reportedly written by President Harry S. Truman, authorizing the formation of a top-secret group tasked with handling the aftermath of the Roswell crash. According to the documents, MJ12 was made up of some of the most prominent military and scientific figures of the time, including General Nathan Twining, Dr. Vannevar Bush, and Secretary of Defense James Forrestal. The group's mission was to assess the wreckage and technology recovered from UFO crashes, study the biological entities found at such sites, and manage the dissemination of information to the public. The documents also suggested that MJ12 maintained a veil of secrecy so complete that even many high-ranking government officials were kept in the dark. This secrecy allegedly extended to controlling the narrative around UFO sightings and reports, ensuring that any public revelations were dismissed as hoaxes, natural phenomena, or conventional aircraft. If true, this level of control would mean that much of what we know, or think we know about UFOs has been carefully curated by a select few individuals behind the scenes. Since their emergence, the MJ12 documents have been hotly debated. Critics and skeptics argue that they are forgeries, citing inconsistencies in formatting, typewriter fonts, and the use of terminology that seems anachronistic for the late 1940s. The FBI and other government agencies have labeled the documents as false, and no concrete evidence has surfaced to confirm the existence of such a group. Even so, the notion of Majestic 12 continues to capture the imagination of UFO enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists, many of whom believe that the group, or something similar, may have existed or still exists in some form. The Majestic 12 narrative has also evolved over time. As new UFO cases emerged, proponents of the conspiracy often linked them back to MJ12, portraying the group as a shadowy organization that still monitors extraterrestrial activity, oversees reverse engineering of alien technology, and decides what information can be released to the public. For many believers, MJ12 is not just a relic of the Roswell era, but a living, active body that holds the keys to humanity's knowledge of extraterrestrial life. Beyond the documents themselves, the MJ12 story has become a cultural phenomenon. It has been referenced in books, documentaries, and even fictional portrayals of secretive government groups handling alien encounters. The idea of a hidden committee pulling the strings on UFO disclosure aligns with broader themes in conspiracy thinking, such as distrust of government institutions, fears of technological suppression, and the belief that the public is being kept in the dark about the most profound discoveries of the modern age. In many ways, the Majestic 12 conspiracies functions as a modern myth. Even if the documents are fraudulent, they have helped shape the way people think about UFOs, government secrecy, and the possibility of extraterrestrial contact. They invite questions about who gets to decide what is revealed and what remains hidden, and they challenge the public to consider whether we are being told the full story about what might be out there in the vast cosmos. Ultimately, whether Majestic 12 was real, a hoax, or a mix of both, Its legacy endures as a symbol of the unknown and the potentially enormous stakes involved in UFO research and extraterrestrial contact. For those who believe that the truth is out there, MJ12 represents the tantalizing possibility that someone already knows the answers and is keeping them locked away. Alien implants and mysterious marks. For decades, reports of alien abductions have included an unsettling detail. Some individuals claim to have been left with small, unexplained objects embedded beneath their skin. Often referred to as alien implants, these fragments have become one of the most controversial aspects of the UFO phenomenon. The notion of implants, along with other mysterious marks and scars, has sparked both fascination and skepticism, drawing attention from researchers, skeptics, and believers alike. Those who report alien abduction experiences frequently describe waking up with unusual scars, puncture marks, or raised lumps that weren't present before. In some cases, these individuals recall vivid episodes of being taken aboard spacecraft and subjected to examinations. They often claim that the beings performing these procedures inserted small devices into their bodies. Over time, these devices are said to remain undetectable to the naked eye, yet sometimes visible on X-rays or other scans, appearing as tiny metallic fragments or foreign objects. The stories surrounding alien implants range from simple narratives to highly detailed accounts. Some abductees describe the implants as tools of observation, tracking, or communication, devices used by extraterrestrial entities to monitor human behavior, record biological data, or maintain a connection with the abductee. Others suggest that the implants may serve a more ominous purpose, theorizing that they could influence thought processes, modify emotions, or control certain behaviors. These interpretations often stem from the sense of violation and fear that many abductees report after discovering the implants. Adding to the intrigue, several researchers have attempted to analyze these mysterious objects. Over the years, a handful of people who claim to have implants have undergone procedures to have them removed. In some cases, the removed objects were sent to laboratories for testing. Initial findings often included vague descriptions of metallic or crystalline substances, with some reports stating that the material exhibited unusual isotopic ratios or structures. However, these findings have not been universally accepted. Critics point out that the provenance of such objects is often unclear. The testing methods are sometimes questioned, and no independent, peer-reviewed studies have definitively confirmed that these objects are of extraterrestrial origin. Skeptics argue that many of these so-called implants are more likely mundane foreign objects, shrapnel, splinters, or fragments of metal from accidents that the individual doesn't remember. Others suggest that what appear to be implants could simply be scar tissue, calcifications, or naturally occurring cysts. In the absence of unambiguous evidence, mainstream science generally dismisses the idea that alien implants are real, instead attributing the reports to psychological factors, memory distortions, or pre-existing injuries. Despite the skepticism, alien implants remain a potent symbol in the UFO and abduction communities. For believers, they represent tangible proof that extraterrestrial encounters have a physical component, an object left behind that can be examined and tested. In this way, implants provide a potential bridge between subjective experience and objective evidence, fueling ongoing interest in uncovering the truth. Mysterious marks, too, play a significant role in the narratives of alien encounters. Abductees often describe finding unusual bruises, scoop-like scars, or patterned impressions on their skin after an alleged abduction event. These marks sometimes correspond to their memories of being subjected to medical procedures or restrained by alien beings. In the absence of conventional explanations, these physical signs reinforce the abductees' conviction that something extraordinary occurred. For them, the marks serve as a reminder that their experiences were not just vivid dreams or hallucinations, but involved physical contact with an unknown force. In the broader context of UFO research, alien implants and mysterious marks highlight the challenges of studying the phenomenon. While the stories are compelling, they remain anecdotal unless supported by verifiable physical evidence. The difficulty of obtaining reliable samples, the controversies surrounding testing methods, and the lack of consensus in the scientific community all contribute to the ongoing debate. Even so, these reports continue to fascinate both the public and researchers, driving efforts to develop more rigorous investigation techniques. The Rendlesham Forest Incident. The Rendlesham Forest Incident, often referred to as Britain's Roswell, stands out as one of the most compelling and well-documented UFO encounters in modern history. Occurring over multiple nights in December 1980, the event involved US military personnel stationed at RAF Woodbridge, a joint British-American airbase located near the forest in Suffolk, England. What sets the Rendlesham case apart from many other UFO reports is the credibility of the witnesses, trained military personnel, some of whom recorded their experiences in official logs and later spoke publicly about what they encountered. The story begins in the early hours of December 26, 1980, when security personnel noticed unusual lights descending into the forest outside the base. Assuming it might be a downed aircraft, a small team ventured into the woods to investigate. What they found was no ordinary crash site. Instead, they reported seeing a glowing object with a metallic appearance, emitting bright, pulsating lights of various colors. The object hovered silently above the forest floor before maneuvering away at high speed, disappearing into the night. The servicemen returned to the base, shaken by what they had seen, and filed reports of their experience. The following night, the phenomenon intensified. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Holt, the deputy base commander, led another group of servicemen into Rendlesham Forest after reports of more lights were received. Holt carried a handheld tape recorder and captured a running commentary of the event, providing a unique, real-time account. As his team entered the woods, they observed a bright light moving through the trees, appearing to split into multiple lights and performing maneuvers that defied conventional explanations. At one point, the light reportedly shone a beam directly onto the ground near the observers, as if searching for something. Holt and his team also discovered triangular impressions in the forest floor and measured elevated levels of radiation at the site the next day. Adding to the intrigue, there were additional reports from nearby civilians who claimed to have seen strange lights in the sky during the same period. These independent accounts, combined with the military testimonies, lent further credibility to the case. The incident quickly gained attention, leading to speculation that the lights might have been advanced technology, either extraterrestrial in origin or the result of secret military testing. Over the years, various explanations have been proposed. Some skeptics suggest that the lights were caused by a combination of misidentified natural phenomena and man-made sources. For example, the nearby Orford Ness Lighthouse emitted a bright, sweeping beam of light that could have been mistaken for a hovering object. Others point to the possibility of meteor sightings or the misinterpretation of bright stars viewed through the forest canopy. However, many of the witnesses have dismissed these explanations, maintaining that what they observed was unlike anything they had ever seen before. The official response to the Rendlesham incident has done little to quell the mystery. The UK Ministry of Defence, MOD, initially stated that the event posed no defence significance and closed the case without further investigation. This lack of a thorough official inquiry only fueled suspicions of a cover-up, with some suggesting that the MOD or the US government might have suppressed evidence of an extraterrestrial encounter. The incident has also sparked extensive media coverage, documentaries, and books, keeping the story alive for more than 4 decades. Numerous witnesses, including some who were involved in the original events, have come forward over the years to share their recollections and to push for further investigation. Despite this ongoing interest, no definitive explanation has emerged, and Rendlesham remains one of the most enigmatic UFO incidents on record. For many, the Rendlesham Forest incident is a compelling example of an unexplained aerial phenomenon witnessed by credible individuals, documented in real time, and still debated to this day. Whether interpreted as a visitation from another world, a test of advanced human technology, or a series of natural and psychological coincidences, Rendlesham continues to captivate the imagination of UFO enthusiasts and skeptics alike. Its enduring mystery challenges us to keep asking questions and to consider the possibility that the truth may yet be out there. UFOs in popular culture, unidentified flying objects, have long captured humanity's imagination, appearing not just in the skies but also in the stories we tell each other. From early radio dramas to blockbuster movies, television series, and best-selling novels, UFOs have evolved from a fringe curiosity into a mainstream cultural phenomenon. They have influenced art, entertainment, and public perception in profound ways, shaping how we think about the possibility of extraterrestrial life and our place in the cosmos. UFOs first gained widespread attention in the mid-20th century, coinciding with the dawn of the space age. The reported sightings of mysterious objects in the skies were quickly picked up by the media, and the idea of flying saucers became a cultural icon almost overnight. Early UFO depictions in fiction, such as the 1951 film The Day the Earth Stood Still, reflected both the fear and the hope of that era. Fear of Cold War tensions and nuclear annihilation, and hope for guidance from more advanced, peaceful beings from beyond our planet. As UFO reports continued to circulate, the entertainment industry took notice. Television shows like The Twilight Zone and The Outer Limits explored encounters with extraterrestrial visitors, often using UFOs as metaphors for social and political issues. In the 1960s, Star Trek introduced audiences to a universe filled with alien civilizations, blending hard science fiction with humanistic ideals. Although not strictly focused on UFOs, the series helped normalize the idea of advanced beings from other worlds and opened the door for countless other shows and movies to delve into similar themes. The late 20th century saw a surge in UFO-related content, fueled in part by real-world events and growing public fascination. The release of Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind in 1977 marked a turning point in UFO portrayals, blending authentic, detailed accounts from real UFO witnesses with a cinematic narrative of awe and wonder. The film depicted UFOs not as objects of fear, but as harbingers of a transformative, almost spiritual experience. Around the same time, the rise of UFO interest coincided with reports of abductions and government secrecy, themes that would heavily influence shows like The X-Files in the 1990s. The X-Files became a cultural touchstone, introducing millions to the concept of a government cover-up of extraterrestrial contact. Its tagline, "The truth is out there," became a rallying cry for UFO enthusiasts and conspiracy theorists alike. The show's blend of mystery, skepticism, and genuine intrigue captured the zeitgeist, fueling public interest in UFOs and sparking discussions about what governments might know but refuse to disclose. It also set a standard for future UFO-themed media, emphasizing both the science and the human stories behind the phenomenon. Beyond Hollywood, UFOs also made their mark in literature, video games, and music. Authors like Whitley Strieber wrote compelling accounts of abduction experiences, blending fact and fiction in ways that kept readers questioning what was real. Video games explored the idea of extraterrestrial visitors with titles like XCOM, UFO Defense, which combined strategy, suspense, and the thrill of confronting the unknown. Musicians, from David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust persona to more obscure experimental artists, drew inspiration from UFO lore, reflecting humanity's fascination with alien contact in their lyrics and imagery. In recent years, UFOs have returned to the forefront of pop culture in new and unexpected ways. The Pentagon's acknowledgement of unexplained aerial phenomena, UAPs, and the release of previously classified footage have reignited interest in UFOs, not just among enthusiasts, but also in the mainstream media. This newfound attention has inspired documentaries, streaming series, and social media conversations, ensuring that UFOs remain relevant in the cultural imagination. UFOs have become more than just strange lights in the sky. They represent our collective curiosity, our fears, and our dreams. As metaphors, they stand in for everything from Cold War anxieties to hopes for a more enlightened future. As plot devices, they've allowed storytellers to explore deep philosophical questions about the nature of existence, our place in the universe, and what it means to be human. Over time, UFOs have evolved from a fringe curiosity to a central part of our cultural landscape, one that continues to spark wonder, debate, and creativity. The Tic Tac UFO Sightings. In 2004, a series of encounters off the coast of California brought UFOs into the realm of military documentation and mainstream awareness. Known as the Tic Tac sightings, these incidents involved U.S. Navy pilots and radar operators from the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group, who reported witnessing strange, unidentified aerial objects. Unlike the blurry photographs and ambiguous anecdotes that often cloud the UFO phenomenon, the Tic Tac encounters were recorded using some of the most advanced military equipment available. The data collected and later declassified has become a focal point in the ongoing debate over unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, and what they might represent. The events unfolded in November 2004 during training exercises approximately 100 miles southwest of San Diego. Navy radar operators aboard the USS Princeton first noticed anomalous objects on their screens. These objects, described as small and oval-shaped, displayed extraordinary flight characteristics. They dropped from high altitudes to near sea level in seconds, moved at remarkable speeds, and performed abrupt maneuvers that seemed to defy known aerodynamic principles. The radar contacts appeared repeatedly, and their movements were so unusual that the Princeton's radar systems were recalibrated to ensure the sightings weren't just glitches. Commander David Fravor, a highly experienced Navy pilot, was among those scrambled to investigate. According to Fravor's account, he and his wingman approached one of the objects, which appeared white and featureless, roughly the size and shape of a large Tic Tac mint. As they closed in, the object began to move erratically, seemingly responding to their presence. Fravor described it as darting around like a ping-pong ball, effortlessly accelerating, stopping, and changing direction. When he attempted to engage, the object sped away, disappearing from sight in an instant. Shortly afterward, radar operators reported the same object reappearing at a point 60 miles away, far faster than any known aircraft could travel. This encounter wasn't isolated. Over the course of several days, similar objects were detected by multiple radars, viewed by multiple pilots, and recorded using forward-looking infrared, FLIR cameras. The video footage captured by the Navy's advanced targeting systems showed the Tic Tac object maneuvering at speeds and angles that appeared to defy the laws of physics. These videos were later declassified and published by major media outlets, including the New York Times, leading to a flurry of public interest and speculation. What makes the Tic Tac sighting so compelling is the combination of credible witnesses, sophisticated equipment, and consistent data. These weren't just casual observers. These were trained military personnel with years of experience identifying aircraft and tracking targets. The radar systems involved were state-of-the-art, capable of detecting and locking onto objects at long ranges. The FLIR videos provided visual confirmation of what the radar operators and pilots were seeing, creating a body of evidence that is difficult to dismiss as simple misidentifications or glitches. Despite this, no definitive explanation has emerged. Some skeptics suggest that the objects could have been advanced drones or classified military technology, possibly from a foreign nation. However, the extraordinary performance characteristics, such as instant acceleration, abrupt stops, and the lack of visible propulsion, make it hard to reconcile these sightings with any known technology. Others have proposed that the Tic Tac objects might be atmospheric or optical phenomena that were misinterpreted under the stress of high-speed aerial encounters. Yet, even these natural explanations fail to account for the precise radar data and the coordinated observations from multiple reliable sources. The Pentagon's subsequent acknowledgement of UAPs and its establishment of official programs to investigate such incidents has lent further credibility to the Tic Tac sightings. In 2020, the U.S. Department of Defense officially released the FLIR footage, confirming that it had been captured by Navy pilots and remained unexplained. This marked a turning point in how the government addressed UFO reports, shifting the conversation away from dismissal and toward a more serious examination of the phenomenon. For many, the Tic Tac encounters represent a paradigm shift in how UFOs are perceived. They are no longer solely the domain of conspiracy theories or science fiction. Instead, they are treated as an important issue of national security and scientific curiosity. The fact that objects of unknown origin can operate in U.S. military training airspace, evading detection, and performing beyond known technological limits raises profound questions about their nature and intent. Are they advanced human-made drones, atmospheric phenomena, or evidence of something truly extraordinary? As the debate continues, the Tic Tac sightings remain a fascinating and unsettling mystery. They are a reminder that even with our most sophisticated technology and expertise, there are still phenomena that elude easy explanation. For those who witnessed them, these encounters were not only startling, but also humbling. Proof that the skies may hold more secrets than we can yet comprehend. Military encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena. For decades, military personnel around the world have reported strange encounters with objects that seem to defy conventional understanding of physics and technology. These unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, often observed by highly trained pilots and documented using advanced radar systems, challenge our assumptions about what's flying in our skies. Unlike casual sightings by civilians, these incidents involve individuals with years of experience in identifying aircraft and distinguishing between natural and man-made phenomena. As a result, military UAP encounters have become some of the most compelling cases in the study of the unknown. One of the earliest and most famous military UFO incidents occurred in 1948 when U.S. Air Force pilot Thomas Mantell died while chasing a large, unidentified object over Kentucky. The object, described by witnesses on the ground as metallic and enormous, reportedly climbed to high altitudes at great speed. Mantell pursued it in his P-51 Mustang, but lost consciousness after climbing too high without oxygen, ultimately crashing to the ground. Official explanations range from a weather balloon to a misidentified planet, yet some argue that the size, speed, and behavior of the object remain unexplained. Similar reports emerged over the decades, including high-profile cases in Europe. For example, in 1980, British military personnel stationed at RAF Woodbridge in Suffolk encountered strange lights in Rendlesham Forest. While some skeptics attribute the event to a nearby lighthouse or natural phenomena, the detailed witness accounts, radiation readings, and audio recordings from that night continue to fuel speculation about what was really observed. More recently, the US Navy's encounters with UAPs have brought renewed attention to the issue. In the early 2000s, Navy pilots flying off the coast of California repeatedly reported strange, fast-moving objects that seemed to outmaneuver the most advanced jets. These incidents, often referred to by their shapes, such as Tic Tac or gimbal, were captured on advanced infrared cameras, showing objects without visible propulsion performing maneuvers beyond known aircraft capabilities. The footage, later declassified, showed these UAPs accelerating, decelerating, and changing direction with a level of agility that no current human-made technology is known to achieve. In another series of events reported by the USS Princeton in 2004, radar operators detected unknown targets descending from high altitudes to near sea level in seconds. These objects were tracked for days, consistently displaying flight patterns that defied conventional explanations. When pilots were dispatched to intercept the UAPs, they described seeing smooth, featureless craft that darted away at incredible speeds, disappearing from view almost instantly. These encounters are particularly notable because they are well documented and corroborated by multiple sources. They involve not only eyewitness accounts from experienced pilots, but also radar data, thermal imagery, and real-time audio recordings. While many UFO sightings rely on anecdotal evidence, military encounters often include detailed logs and data that can be analyzed by experts. This combination of evidence elevates these cases above the usual sightings and provides a stronger foundation for scientific and governmental investigation. Despite the wealth of data, the nature of these UAPs remains unclear. In some instances, skeptics have proposed that the objects might be foreign drones, experimental aircraft, or even natural phenomena that are poorly understood. However, the extraordinary speed, abrupt maneuvers, and lack of visible propulsion present challenges to these conventional explanations. If the objects are advanced drones, they would require a level of technological sophistication that surpasses any known nation's current capabilities. If they are natural phenomena, they would represent a new and previously unrecognized category of atmospheric event. These military encounters have also raised important questions about national security. The UAPs have often been observed in restricted airspace, near military bases, and in proximity to sensitive operations. The inability to identify them, let alone explain their origins, creates potential risks for both military personnel and civilian populations. For this reason, governments and defense agencies have begun to take the issue more seriously. The US government's decision to establish formal task forces, declassify videos, and issue official reports on UAPs marks a significant shift in how these phenomena are approached. Military UAP encounters are compelling not only because of their strangeness, but also because they highlight the limits of our current understanding. These incidents challenge assumptions about aviation, physics, and the very nature of reality. Whether they turn out to be advanced human-made drones, natural phenomena, or evidence of something entirely unprecedented. These sightings remind us that the skies remain a domain of mystery. For the military personnel who have witnessed them, the experiences are often unforgettable, a sobering reminder that the unknown may be closer and more tangible than we ever imagined. The 1967 Shag Harbour Incident, one of the most well-documented and intriguing UFO cases in Canadian history, occurred on the quiet night of October 4th, 1967, in the small fishing village of Shag Harbour, Nova Scotia. What began as a series of strange lights in the sky soon became a major investigation involving civilian witnesses, local authorities, and military personnel. Unlike many UFO encounters, the Shag Harbour incident didn't just involve sightings. It left a physical trace, a well-documented search effort, and questions that have never been fully answered. The events began around 11:20 p.m. when several residents of Shag Harbour spotted a string of bright orange lights, reportedly about 4 in number, hovering low in the sky over the waters of the Gulf of Maine. The lights were moving at a steady pace, appearing in a straight line and showing no signs of conventional navigation lights or the sounds of an aircraft. Many witnesses initially thought they might be seeing an airplane in distress, or possibly a meteor breaking up in the atmosphere. What made this sighting particularly unique was what happened next. According to multiple witnesses, the light suddenly tilted, descended toward the water, and disappeared beneath the waves, leaving a bright orange-yellow glow in the ocean. Eyewitnesses, including several local fishermen and teenagers who had stopped their car to watch, immediately contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, to report what they believed was a plane crash. The RCMP quickly organized a search effort, gathering boats and local fishermen to scour the area for survivors or debris. When the first responders arrived at the scene, they found no sign of a downed aircraft, but they did observe a strange, luminescent foam floating on the surface of the water. The foam was described as yellowish and oily, unlike anything the local fishermen had encountered before. Despite the late hour, rescue teams worked through the night, using flashlights and boat lights to comb the area. The Canadian Coast Guard and additional search vessels soon joined the effort, but no wreckage, bodies, or aircraft parts were ever found. In the days that followed, Canadian military officials became involved. The Canadian Forces Maritime Command dispatched a team of Navy divers to search the seabed, although the official explanation provided at the time was that they were looking for a downed aircraft. No record of any missing planes, commercial, private, or military, was found. This lack of a plausible explanation heightened speculation about what had actually happened. The divers reportedly found no wreckage, but rumors persisted that something large and mysterious had rested on the seabed before moving away, beyond the range of their search. The incident quickly made headlines in Canadian newspapers and gained attention internationally. Unlike many UFO cases that rely solely on eyewitness testimony, the Shag Harbour event involved multiple corroborating accounts from different individuals, including police officers and military personnel, as well as the well-documented search and rescue operation. This level of official involvement added credibility to the case, even as it remained unexplained. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged. Some researchers suggest that the object was a secret military or experimental aircraft that went off course and was quickly recovered in secrecy. Others argue that it was a natural phenomenon, perhaps a meteor or ball lightning that happened to coincide with unusual environmental conditions. However, neither explanation fully accounts for the detailed eyewitness reports, the foam-like residue, or the coordinated response by multiple agencies. To this day, Shag Harbour embraces its unique place in UFO history. The village now hosts an annual UFO festival, and the incident has been the subject of numerous documentaries, books, and research papers. Despite decades of investigation, the true nature of the object that entered the waters off Shag Harbour remains a mystery. For many, the incident serves as a reminder that even in our modern, well-monitored world, the unknown can still appear without warning, leaving behind tantalizing clues that spark the imagination and defy easy explanations. The Belgium UFO Wave. The Belgium UFO Wave of 1989 to 1990 is one of the most well-documented and widely witnessed series of UFO sightings in modern history. Over the course of several months, thousands of people, including law enforcement officers, military personnel, and civilian witnesses, reported seeing large, silent, triangular-shaped craft with bright lights moving through the night skies. The wave culminated in a dramatic series of events that involved fighter jet interceptions, radar confirmation, and photographic evidence, making it a cornerstone case for UFO researchers and a topic of heated debate among skeptics and believers alike. The sightings began in late November 1989, when multiple people across Belgium reported seeing a massive black triangle with lights at each corner and a pulsating red light in the center. Witnesses described the craft as silent, capable of hovering, and moving at both slow and incredibly fast speeds. The reports were taken seriously enough that the Belgian government assigned the Belgian Air Force and the National UFO Organization, SOBEPS, Société Belge d'études des phénomènes spatiaux, to investigate. What set the Belgium wave apart from many UFO sightings was the sheer volume of corroborated accounts and the involvement of multiple credible sources. Police officers on routine patrols, for example, reported witnessing the triangular craft up close. Their descriptions were consistent with those of civilian witnesses, many of whom provided independent accounts from different locations. The objects were also seen near densely populated areas, making it harder to dismiss the sightings as random or isolated incidents. One of the most dramatic nights occurred on March 30-31, 1990, when the Belgian Air Force scrambled two F-16 fighter jets to intercept a UFO that had been detected on radar. As the pilots closed in, they encountered an object that performed sudden, rapid maneuvers, including descending thousands of feet in a matter of seconds, movements that no known aircraft of the time could achieve. Despite attempts to lock onto the object, it continually evaded tracking, displaying a level of agility and speed that seemed beyond conventional technology. The pilot's instruments recorded anomalies, and the object was also confirmed on multiple ground-based radars. In addition to radar data and eyewitness testimony, the Belgium wave produced photographic and video evidence. The most famous photograph, taken by an anonymous individual in Petit-Rechem, showed a black triangular craft with lights at its corners. While some analysts later questioned the authenticity of the image, others pointed to it as one of the clearest visual records of a triangular UFO. Throughout the wave, the Belgian government maintained an open stance, cooperating with civilian UFO researchers and allowing SOBEPS to publish its findings. This transparency was unusual compared to the often secretive handling of UFO reports in other countries. While skeptics suggested that the sightings could be attributed to military exercises, atmospheric phenomena, or misidentifications of conventional aircraft, the Belgian Air Force stated that no known military or civilian operations could account for the object's behavior, size, and flight characteristics. The Belgium UFO wave became a global story, drawing attention from media outlets, UFO researchers, and skeptics around the world. Its combination of mass sightings, official government involvement, radar data, and photographic evidence made it one of the most compelling and credible UFO events on record. Even today, the case remains unresolved. No definitive explanation, natural, terrestrial, or extraterrestrial, has been found to account for the sightings, leaving the Belgium Wave as one of the enduring mysteries in the field of UFO studies. For many, the Belgium UFO Wave represents a rare instance where the usual barriers to UFO research, lack of evidence, lack of credible witnesses, and lack of government transparency, were significantly reduced. The case stands as a testament to the potential for open investigation and collaboration, and it continues to inspire discussions about what might be out there in the skies above. Alien encounter near the White House. In the annals of UFO sightings, reports of unidentified objects near significant political or military locations often raise the most eyebrows. One of the most intriguing instances occurred in 1952, when a series of unexplained radar returns and aerial sightings were reported near the nation's capital. This Washington, D.C. UFO incident, sometimes called the Washington Flap, is notable not only because of its proximity to the White House, but also because it prompted direct military involvement and widespread media coverage. The events unfolded over 2 weekends in late July 1952. It began on the night of July 19th, when air traffic controllers at Washington National Airport, now Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, noticed strange blips on their radar screens. These unidentified targets moved erratically, seemingly defying the flight characteristics of any known aircraft. What made the situation more alarming was that these radar returns were not isolated. Other radars at Andrews Air Force Base also picked up the same objects. In addition to the radar evidence, numerous pilots and witnesses on the ground reported seeing bright lights or glowing objects in the sky. These objects were described as white, orange, or bluish, and they darted about with incredible speed and agility, sometimes appearing to hover before accelerating out of sight. Several commercial airline pilots reported near encounters, and ground observers included seasoned radar operators and military personnel, all of whom noted the unusual behavior of these objects. The situation intensified on July 26th, when the unexplained blips appeared again. By this time, the Air Force had become fully aware of the incidents, and interceptors were scrambled to investigate. F-94 jet fighters from Newcastle Air Force Base in Delaware were sent into the air, but when they arrived in the target areas, the objects either disappeared or moved out of range. One pilot reported seeing lights, but was unable to close the distance before the objects vanished at tremendous speed. Media coverage was intense, with front-page headlines in major newspapers like The Washington Post. The public became increasingly curious, and speculation ran wild. Were these advanced Soviet aircraft, as Cold War fears suggested? Could they be secret US military experiments? Or something even more extraordinary, visitors from another world? The Air Force responded by holding a press conference on July 29th, during which Major General John Sanford attempted to reassure the public. He attributed the radar anomalies to a temperature inversion, a meteorological condition that can cause radar signals to reflect off layers of warm air, creating the illusion of solid objects. While this explanation calmed some nerves, many remained unconvinced. After all, temperature inversions could not easily account for the bright lights seen by pilots and ground observers, or the seemingly intelligent maneuvers reported by radar operators. The Washington Flap had long-term repercussions. It led to a surge of public interest in UFOs, prompted congressional inquiries, and resulted in the Air Force intensifying its study of unidentified flying objects through Project Blue Book. While the official explanation emphasized natural atmospheric phenomena, skeptics and UFO enthusiasts argued that the combination of radar data, pilot sightings, and multiple witnesses made the case one of the most compelling UFO events in US history. For those who believe the UFO phenomenon represents something beyond human understanding, the 1952 Washington sightings remain a pivotal moment. The proximity to the seat of government and the involvement of military radar and jets suggests that these were not simply distant lights in the sky, but rather objects of significant interest and concern. Decades later, the events still spark debate, fueling speculation about what really occurred in the skies over the nation's capital that summer. The Voronezh UFO Incident. Among the many UFO encounters on record, few are as strange or as controversial as the reported landing of an alien craft in the Soviet city of Voronezh in 1989. Unlike the brief glimpses of mysterious lights or objects that define many UFO sightings, the Voronezh incident included detailed accounts of beings emerging from a craft, bizarre creatures, and physical evidence left behind in the form of marks on the ground. It stands out as one of the most elaborate UFO stories to emerge from the former Soviet Union, generating both widespread attention and considerable skepticism. The events allegedly occurred on the evening of September 27, 1989, in a public park near a residential area of Voronezh, a city located about 300 miles south of Moscow. According to local reports, several young boys playing in the park saw a bright pink or red light in the sky, which quickly descended and materialized into a large rounded craft. They described it as a metallic, disc-shaped object with a dome on top. As they watched, a hatch on the craft opened and strange beings emerged. These beings were described as extremely tall, up to 10 or 11 feet, and humanoid, with small heads, large eyes, and metallic suits. Witnesses also claimed to see a smaller robot-like entity accompanying them, with a body that seemed to be made of shiny, reflective material. The children and other nearby residents watched in amazement and fear as the beings reportedly walked around, surveying the area and even interacting with the environment. One of the most bizarre details of the encounter involved a beam of light that one of the creatures allegedly used to paralyze a boy who attempted to flee. According to witness accounts, the boy was temporarily immobilized before being released. Some witnesses also reported seeing a strange symbol on the craft and claimed that the beings examined objects in the park before returning to the ship and departing. When the craft lifted off, it left impressions in the ground, traces of which were reportedly examined by local authorities. The incident quickly gained national and international attention, not only because of the unusual nature of the encounter, but also because it was reported by a Soviet state news agency, TASS. The TASS report described the witnesses as credible and detailed what they had seen in a manner that suggested something truly out of the ordinary. This was highly unusual during a time when the Soviet government rarely, if ever, acknowledged UFO sightings. Scientists from a nearby institute reportedly visited the site, examined the impressions in the soil, and took readings of increased radiation levels. These findings were cited as evidence that something physical had landed in the park. However, the lack of verifiable photographic or physical evidence beyond the ground markings left the case open to interpretation. As news of the Voronezh incident spread, it drew considerable skepticism. Many pointed out that the primary witnesses were children, whose accounts could have been influenced by their imaginations or by stories they had heard. Others argued that the media, eager for sensational stories in the final years of the Soviet Union, might have exaggerated the details. Some researchers have suggested that the event could have been a mass hallucination or a misunderstanding of a natural or human-made phenomenon. Nevertheless, the Voronezh incident remains a fascinating case in the annals of UFO lore. Unlike many sightings, it included a reported landing, beings that were described in detail, and physical traces at the site. Whether interpreted as evidence of extraterrestrial visitation, a misinterpretation of a known event, or a reflection of psychological or cultural factors, it continues to provoke curiosity and debate. For those who follow the UFO phenomenon, the Voronezh Incident represents one of the more vivid and unusual cases. Its mix of detailed witness accounts, the alleged presence of humanoid figures, and the involvement of both local authorities and scientists give it a place in UFO history. Even if no definitive explanation ever emerges, the story serves as a reminder of how deeply the unknown can capture the human imagination, and how even extraordinary claims can become a lasting part of our collective narrative. The Allagash Abductions, one of the most intriguing and controversial alien abduction cases on record, is the Allagash Incident, which occurred in the remote wilderness of Maine in the summer of 1976. What began as a relaxing fishing trip for 4 college friends turned into an alleged close encounter that would haunt them for years. Their story, pieced together through later hypnosis sessions, describes a harrowing sequence of events involving bright lights, lost time, and alien beings, marking it as one of the most famous abduction cases in UFO lore. The 4 men, Jim Weiner, Jack Weiner, Chuck Rack, and Charlie Foltz, were enjoying a week-long canoeing expedition on the Allagash Waterway, a rugged and remote stretch of lakes, rivers, and forest. On the second night of the trip, as they prepared to sleep on the shore, they spotted a strange light in the sky. This was no ordinary star or airplane. The light seemed brighter and closer, moving in a deliberate and controlled manner. While intrigued, the group brushed it off and continued their trip. A few nights later, as they fished on the calm waters of Eagle Lake, the light returned, this time far more intense. According to the men's accounts, the light seemed to approach them, and they felt an overwhelming sense of something extraordinary happening. At some point, they decided to head back to shore, paddling toward safety. The next thing they remembered was standing on the beach, feeling strangely disoriented. Their campfire, which they had built high and expected to burn for hours, had reduced to embers far too quickly, suggesting that several hours had passed without their awareness. In the years that followed, the men began experiencing troubling symptoms. Jim Weiner suffered from recurring nightmares in which he saw strange, humanoid beings with large eyes examining him in a sterile, clinical setting. Jack Weiner had similar dreams, along with flashbacks of bright lights and a sense of paralysis. The men compared their experiences and started to suspect that they had undergone something far more unusual than just a sighting. They sought the help of a noted UFO researcher and underwent hypnosis to uncover any hidden memories. Under hypnosis, all 4 men described eerily similar scenarios. They recalled being taken aboard a craft and subjected to medical procedures. The beings they encountered were short, with large heads, elongated eyes, and grayish skin. They described the interior of the craft as cold, metallic, and bathed in harsh light. During the examinations, the men felt immobilized, unable to resist or speak, but they could recall the sensations and the odd instruments used on them. These details, while consistent among the 4, were also consistent with other abduction narratives reported by individuals around the world, lending some credibility in the eyes of UFO researchers, but also fueling skepticism among others who saw these similarities as evidence of cultural influence. The Allagash abduction story gained widespread attention in the 1980s when it was featured on television specials and in UFO literature. It was held up as a compelling example of multiple witnesses experiencing a shared, traumatic event. Proponents of the abduction hypothesis pointed to the consistency of the men's accounts, the corroborating descriptions under hypnosis, and their willingness to discuss the event publicly as indicators of credibility. The men did not seek fame or fortune. In fact, they seemed genuinely troubled by their experiences and reluctant to come forward at first. However, skeptics argue that the case lacks hard evidence. No physical artifacts, photographic proof, or third-party verification beyond the men's own testimonies has ever emerged. Hypnosis itself is a contentious tool, as it can lead to the creation of false memories, especially when the subjects are eager to find explanations for their experiences. Critics also point out that the remote setting and isolation of the Allagash waterway could have heightened the men's sense of unease and susceptibility to suggestion. Despite these criticisms, the Allagash abduction case remains a cornerstone of UFO and abduction research. For those who believe in the reality of alien encounters, it represents a rare instance where multiple witnesses, friends with no apparent motive to fabricate, reported a shared experience that changed their lives. For skeptics, it's an example of how memory, suggestion, and cultural context can shape our understanding of the unexplained. Ultimately, the Allagash incident continues to provoke debate and fascination. Whether it was a genuine extraterrestrial encounter, a psychological phenomenon, or a misunderstanding of natural events, the story reminds us of the enduring mystery surrounding abduction cases and our desire to uncover the truth about what might lie beyond our everyday reality. The Lubbock Lights. On a warm night in August 1951, a group of scientists and professors sitting in a backyard in Lubbock, Texas, witnessed a series of strange, luminous objects crossing the sky. What they saw was only the beginning. Over the next few weeks, hundreds of residents reported similar sightings of mysterious, glowing formations. Quickly dubbed the Lubbock Lights, the event became one of the most well-known UFO incidents of the early 1950s, intriguing researchers, skeptics, and the general public alike. The first sighting occurred on the evening of August 25, 1951. A group of professors from Texas Technological College, now Texas Tech University, was gathered outdoors when a V-shaped formation of glowing lights passed overhead. The men were startled by the phenomenon, describing the lights as silent, bluish-green, and moving rapidly across the sky. Initially, they wondered if they had witnessed some form of migratory birds reflecting city lights. However, as the sightings continued, that explanation seemed less plausible. In the days and weeks that followed, many other witnesses, including college students, local townspeople, and even military personnel, reported seeing similar formations. The lights typically appeared in arcs or V-shapes, sometimes traveling in groups of 15 to 30. They moved too fast to be conventional aircraft and too large and bright to be misidentified meteors. Unlike some UFO sightings that occur in remote or sparsely populated areas, the Lubbock Lights were seen by a large number of people, giving the event a rare degree of credibility. One of the most compelling pieces of evidence came from a local teenage amateur photographer named Carl Hart Jr. On August 30, he managed to capture several photographs of the mysterious lights using a Kodak 35mm camera. His images showed a series of bright, circular lights arranged in a formation similar to what other witnesses had described. The photos quickly garnered attention and were even featured in Life magazine, lending the incident a national profile. To this day, Hart's photos remain some of the most widely recognized visual evidence from the Lubbock Lights case. In an attempt to explain the phenomenon, the U.S. Air Force investigated as part of Project Blue Book, the official government program tasked with studying UFO sightings. The Air Force eventually concluded that the Lubbock Lights were likely caused by natural phenomena, specifically the reflections of city lights on the undersides of migrating plover birds. This explanation, while seemingly reasonable, failed to satisfy many witnesses. People who saw the lights insisted that the objects moved too quickly, flew too high, and displayed a level of precision that didn't match typical bird flight patterns. Critics of the Air Force's bird reflection hypothesis pointed out that similar lights had been observed in areas far from city lights, and some witnesses had noted that the lights changed direction abruptly and maintained a consistent formation. These behaviors were inconsistent with what would be expected from reflected light on flocks of birds. Additionally, no conclusive evidence was presented to confirm that birds were in the area at the time of the sightings. As with many UFO cases, explanations have varied widely. Some skeptics have suggested that the lights could have been military aircraft conducting classified experiments. Others propose that they were natural atmospheric phenomena, such as electrical discharges or rare forms of ball lightning. However, none of these theories fully explains the repeated, consistent, and well-documented sightings. For believers in the UFO phenomenon, the Lubbock Lights represent a significant case, an event that was not only witnessed by credible observers, but also captured on film and subjected to official investigation. The incident occurred during a period of heightened public interest in UFOs, just a few years after the Roswell crash and Kenneth Arnold's famous sighting of flying saucers. The Lubbock Lights added to the growing cultural awareness of unidentified aerial phenomena and helped solidify the idea that UFOs were not confined to isolated incidents or fringe witnesses. Today, the Lubbock Lights remain a mystery. The case is often cited as an example of a well-documented UFO event that defies easy explanation. Whether it was an unknown natural phenomenon, experimental technology, or something more extraordinary, the Lubbock Lights continue to be a source of fascination for researchers, skeptics, and the curious alike. The Kecksburg Incident. On the chilly evening of December 9, 1965, residents of the small town of Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, were startled by a brilliant streak of light that cut across the sky. The fiery object appeared to be on a controlled descent, trailing sparks and glowing as it disappeared into the nearby woods. Reports soon flooded in from witnesses across multiple states, and the event quickly gained attention as something out of the ordinary, possibly a meteor, a crashed satellite, or even a spacecraft not of this Earth. What set the Kecksburg incident apart from other fireball sightings was what allegedly happened after the object came down. Residents near the crash site described seeing a metallic, acorn-shaped object partially buried in the ground. The object, according to witnesses, was smooth, without obvious seams or rivets, and bore strange, glyph-like symbols along its surface. It didn't resemble any conventional aircraft or known satellite. Soon after the crash, a military response team arrived, cordoning off the area and ordering civilians to leave. Witnesses claim the military removed the object, loaded it onto a flatbed truck, and transported it away, never to be seen again. The official explanation offered at the time was that the Kecksburg fireball was a meteor and that no object was recovered. However, the secrecy surrounding the incident and the reported actions of the military fueled suspicions. Why would the area have been secured so quickly if it was just a meteor? Why were witnesses told to remain silent about what they saw? These questions led many to believe that whatever had come down in Kecksburg was far more significant than a natural space object. Over the years, various theories have emerged. Some suggest that the object was a piece of Soviet space debris, possibly the failed Venus probe, Cosmos 96. This explanation gained some traction, as Cosmos 96 had re-entered Earth's atmosphere around the same time. However, experts have pointed out that the trajectories didn't match exactly, and the described acorn shape didn't fit the known design of the Soviet probe. Other theories propose that the object was an experimental military craft, perhaps a test vehicle that had gone off course. This would explain the swift arrival of military personnel and the subsequent removal of the object. Still, No conclusive evidence has surfaced to support this idea, leaving room for more speculative interpretations. For UFO enthusiasts, Kecksburg is often compared to Roswell, with its mix of eyewitness accounts, alleged military cover-up, and tantalizing hints of extraterrestrial technology. The mysterious glyphs reportedly seen on the craft's exterior are cited as possible indicators of a non-human origin. Some suggest that the object could have been a probe from another civilization, sent to observe Earth and accidentally brought down. The Kecksburg Incident also holds a unique place in pop culture and the collective imagination. It has been the subject of documentaries, television shows, and even a special episode of Unsolved Mysteries. Despite decades of investigation, Freedom of Information Act requests, and scientific analysis, no definitive answer has been found. The acorn-shaped object, if it existed, has never been publicly revealed, and no credible documentation has been presented to explain what crashed into the woods that night. What makes the Kecksburg case so enduring is not just the initial event, but the layers of secrecy and uncertainty that followed. It is a story that encapsulates the mystery of UFO phenomena, a dramatic, widely witnessed event that leaves more questions than answers. For believers, it remains one of the most compelling pieces of evidence that we might not be alone. For skeptics, it is a reminder of how public perception and government actions can turn a natural or man-made event into a legend. Whatever the truth, the Kecksburg Incident continues to intrigue and inspire those who look to the skies and wonder what might be out there. The Travis Walton Abduction. In November 1975, a logging crew in the Apache Sitgreaves National Forests of Arizona witnessed an event that would become one of the most famous and hotly debated UFO abduction cases in history. When Travis Walton, a 22-year-old logger, vanished for 5 days after a close encounter with a strange craft. The story drew intense media attention and divided public opinion. The case remains one of the most detailed and controversial examples of alleged alien abduction, bolstered by multiple eyewitness accounts and Walton's own vivid recollections of his time away. The incident occurred on the evening of November 5, 1975. Walton and 6 other crew members were finishing a day of logging in a remote wooded area when they noticed a bright, glowing object hovering just above the treetops. Initially, they thought it might be a small airplane or helicopter, but as they drove closer, they realized it was unlike anything they'd ever seen. The object was described as a smooth, metallic disc, glowing with a bright yellowish light and emitting a faint hum. In an impulsive moment, Walton jumped out of the truck and approached the craft, drawn by a mix of curiosity and awe. As he got closer, the craft began to emit a blue-green light that intensified suddenly. According to Walton's crew, he was struck by a beam of light that lifted him into the air and hurled him backward, leaving him motionless on the ground. Terrified, the rest of the crew fled in their truck, certain that Walton had been killed. Minutes later, they returned to the site to search for him, but Walton was gone. There was no sign of the craft or Walton's body. Fearing the worst, the crew reported the incident to local authorities. A search party was organized, and for the next 5 days, Walton's disappearance remained a complete mystery. When Walton finally reappeared, he was found at a gas station in the nearby town of Harbour, disoriented and weak. He claimed to have no memory of the days he'd been gone, but over time, fragmented recollections began to surface. Under hypnosis, Walton described waking up inside what he believed to be an alien craft, surrounded by small, humanoid beings with large eyes and smooth, pale skin. He recalled being restrained on a table while the beings examined him. Later, he said he encountered human-looking figures dressed in blue jumpsuits who escorted him into a larger area before he lost consciousness again. His memories, while vivid, were incomplete and left many questions unanswered. The crew's testimony and Walton's account quickly drew widespread attention, but not everyone accepted the story at face value. Skeptics argued that the incident might have been a hoax or a misunderstanding. Some speculated that Walton and his crew fabricated the story as part of an elaborate scheme, perhaps to gain notoriety or financial reward. Others suggested that Walton's memories could have been influenced by popular UFO lore and media portrayals of alien encounters. One of the key pieces of evidence cited by Walton's defenders is the consistency of the crew's accounts. All 6 crew members passed polygraph tests administered shortly after the event, supporting their claims that they had witnessed a glowing craft and that Walton had been struck by a beam of light. While polygraph results are not foolproof, the collective consistency of their stories over the years has led many to believe they were genuinely convinced something extraordinary happened that night. The Walton abduction case has since become one of the most well-known in UFO history. It was the subject of the 1978 book, The Walton Experience, and the 1993 film, Fire in the Sky. While the film took dramatic liberties, it brought the case to a wider audience and cemented its place in popular culture. Walton himself has continued to speak publicly about the incident, maintaining that his experience was real and that he stands by his story. Despite the fame and attention, the Travis Walton abduction remains as controversial as ever. Believers point to the polygraph results, the consistency of the crew's testimony, and Walton's own detailed recollections as evidence that the incident was genuine. Skeptics, on the other hand, cite the lack of physical evidence, the possibility of false memories, and the media's role in shaping public perception. Ultimately, the Walton case highlights the complexities of UFO abduction reports. It raises questions about the reliability of memory, the influence of cultural narratives, and the difficulty of verifying extraordinary claims, whether seen as a genuine encounter with extraterrestrial beings or a compelling psychological and social mystery. The Travis Walton abduction continues to be a topic of intense debate and enduring fascination. UFO Files of the 1950s. The 1950s was a defining decade for the UFO phenomenon, cementing its place in the public consciousness and giving rise to countless sightings, investigations, and official inquiries. It was during these years that UFOs, often called flying saucers, moved from isolated reports to a widespread cultural and scientific mystery, with governments, military agencies, and private researchers scrambling to understand what people were seeing in the skies. The decade produced some of the most famous UFO incidents, and the subsequent files, reports, and investigations remain a cornerstone of modern ufology. The decade began with the world still buzzing from the 1947 Roswell incident and Kenneth Arnold's sighting of saucer-like objects near Mount Rainier. These events set the stage for a surge in reports as more and more individuals came forward with their own sightings of mysterious craft. Civilian and military pilots, radar operators, and ordinary citizens alike began reporting strange lights and objects that perform maneuvers far beyond the capabilities of known aircraft. The wave of sightings led to an unprecedented level of government interest and the creation of dedicated UFO research programs. One of the most notable projects to emerge in the early 1950s was the United States Air Force's Project Blue Book, which officially began in 1952, preceded by smaller-scale efforts like Project Sign, 1947 to 1949, and Project Grudge, 1949 to 1951. Blue Book was tasked with systematically collecting, analyzing, and attempting to explain UFO sightings. At its peak, the project recorded thousands of cases, many of which remain accessible in declassified files. While the majority of these reports were ultimately explained as weather balloons, aircraft, or astronomical phenomena, a small percentage, approximately 5%, were classified as unidentified, meaning no conventional explanation could be found. One of the most high-profile events investigated during this era occurred in Washington, D.C. in 1952, known as the Washington Flap, or Washington National Airport Sightings. This series of radar and visual sightings over the nation's capital drew significant attention. Military radar operators and civilian air traffic controllers detected multiple unknown objects, performing high-speed maneuvers in restricted airspace. The Air Force scrambled jets to intercept the objects, but they were unable to make visual contact. The sightings made front-page news and forced the Air Force to hold a press conference, during which officials attributed the phenomena to weather-related radar anomalies, a conclusion that many found unsatisfying. The 1950s also saw significant international UFO activity. In France, numerous sightings were reported during a 1954 wave, with witnesses describing saucer-shaped craft and even humanoid figures near landed objects. In Scandinavia, ghost rockets were seen throughout the late 1940s and early 1950s, with reports of mysterious aerial objects that occasionally crashed into lakes but left no trace. These cases were often included in U.S. intelligence files, as the Cold War climate heightened concerns that some UFOs might be advanced Soviet technology. Back in the U.S., the Robertson Panel convened in 1953 at the request of the CIA. This group of scientists and intelligence experts reviewed Project Blue Book's findings and recommended downplaying UFO reports to prevent public panic. They suggested focusing on public education campaigns to debunk UFO sightings and reducing media attention on unexplained cases. The panel's conclusions influenced how the US government would handle UFO reports for years to come, leading many to suspect that official agencies were more concerned with controlling public perception than uncovering the truth. Despite the official dismissals and debunking efforts, the 1950s UFO files contain numerous puzzling cases that continue to fuel speculation. Incidents involving trained military personnel, corroborated radar data, and unexplained maneuvers leave a trail of questions that skeptics and believers still debate. Many researchers point to the consistency of reports from independent witnesses as evidence that something genuinely mysterious was happening in the skies, while skeptics argue that cultural factors, media coverage, and Cold War paranoia contributed to a surge in misidentifications and hoaxes. The unknown cases remain a tantalizing puzzle. The 1950s UFO files also reflect the growing tension between public interest and government secrecy. As reports mounted and official explanations often failed to satisfy, some began to suspect that key information was being withheld. This suspicion gave rise to conspiracy theories, with many believing that the government knew more than it was admitting about UFOs and possible extraterrestrial visitors. The era set the stage for decades of speculation, inspiring countless books, documentaries, and debates. Today, the UFO files from the 1950s are viewed as a foundational chapter in the history of unidentified aerial phenomena. They represent the moment when UFOs transitioned from isolated curiosities to a global mystery, sparking the establishment of official investigative bodies, the rise of civilian UFO organizations, and the enduring question, what, if anything, is out there? While many cases from the decade have been explained, others remain unsolved, serving as a reminder that our understanding of the skies and what might inhabit them is still far from complete. The mysterious Baltic Sea Anomaly. In June 2011, a team of Swedish treasure hunters and salvage divers known as the Ocean X Team stumbled upon a strange, massive structure lying at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. Using sonar equipment to search for sunken shipwrecks, they came across an object with a shape and composition that seemed out of place. The discovery, located between Sweden and Finland, quickly gained international attention and became known as the Baltic Sea Anomaly. Over the years, this enigmatic underwater feature has inspired speculation, ranging from natural geological formations to the remnants of a sunken UFO. The sonar images captured by the Ocean X team revealed an unusual structure measuring approximately 60 meters in diameter, about the size of a jumbo jet. The formation appeared to have straight edges, rounded corners, and a flat top, with a peculiar stair-like feature or ramp extending to one side. Some of the sonar returns suggested the presence of a long track leading up to the object, as if it had slid or been dragged across the seabed. The overall shape and symmetry were so striking that the team initially thought they might have found the remains of a shipwreck, an ancient artifact, or something entirely unprecedented. Adding to the mystery, divers who visited the site reported anomalies with their equipment. According to the Ocean X team, electrical devices, including cameras and communications equipment, often failed when they approached the anomaly, only to return to normal when they moved away. These reports fueled speculation that the object might be emitting electromagnetic interference, a characteristic that some associate with advanced or unknown technology. Over the years, numerous theories have emerged to explain the Baltic Sea anomaly. One of the most popular speculative ideas is that it might be the wreckage of a UFO that crashed into the sea thousands of years ago. Proponents of this theory point to the object's unusual shape, its resemblance to a flying saucer, and the reported electronic disturbances as evidence that it could be extraterrestrial in origin. Some even liken the sonar image of the anomaly to the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, further fueling its reputation as a potential alien craft. Other theories suggest that the anomaly could be an ancient human construction, possibly a sunken megalithic structure, a World War II-era bunker, or anti-submarine defense, or even a lost piece of ancient technology. These ideas often draw on the formation's apparent geometric features and the possibility that it was once above sea level before the Baltic Sea's water levels rose. On the more skeptical side, many geologists and marine scientists have proposed natural explanations. Some suggest that the anomaly is simply a glacial deposit, formed by retreating glaciers at the end of the last ice age. As glaciers moved across the seabed, they could have left behind large, unusually shaped boulders or sedimentary formations that now rest at the bottom of the Baltic. The track, seen in sonar images, might be a trench carved by a glacial stream or an illusion created by sonar shadowing. Other experts argue that the sonar data might not be as clear-cut as it seems, with sonar artifacts sometimes producing misleading shapes and features. Despite numerous expeditions and media coverage, the true nature of the Baltic Sea anomaly remains undetermined. Further dives have provided some additional details, including samples of rock and sediment, but none of these have conclusively identified the origin of the structure. The Ocean X team has suggested that it may be made of volcanic rock, which would align with natural geological explanations, but definitive evidence is still lacking. For many, the intrigue surrounding the anomaly isn't just about what it might be, but what it represents, a tantalizing mystery in one of the least explored parts of the planet. The deep sea is a realm that still holds countless secrets, from undiscovered marine species to sunken relics of ancient human history. The Baltic Sea anomaly, whatever it turns out to be, is a reminder that our understanding of the Earth's oceans is far from complete. In the absence of a clear answer, the Baltic Sea anomaly remains a source of fascination and debate. It captures the imagination not only because of its striking appearance, but also because it challenges us to think about what might lie hidden beneath the waves. Whether it's a natural geological formation, an ancient man-made structure, or something else entirely. The anomaly continues to inspire both scientific inquiry and the enduring hope that some mysteries may still defy easy explanation. Ancient Egyptian alien theories. For decades, the mysterious and grandiose achievements of ancient Egypt have inspired awe and speculation. While mainstream archaeologists credit human ingenuity, engineering prowess, and a sophisticated understanding of mathematics and astronomy, another theory has captured the imaginations of alternative thinkers and UFO enthusiasts. The idea that extraterrestrial beings influenced or directly assisted in the construction of Egypt's most iconic structures. From the Great Pyramid of Giza to the intricate carvings of the Temple of Dendera, proponents of ancient alien theories argue that Egypt's monumental accomplishments may have been guided, accelerated, or even initiated by advanced visitors from other worlds. Central to these theories is the question of how ancient Egyptians managed to build the pyramids, particularly the Great Pyramid of Giza, with such precision. Constructed more than 4,500 years ago, the pyramid's enormous blocks of limestone and granite, some weighing over 70 tons, were transported and placed with astonishing accuracy. Its base is nearly perfectly level, and its orientation is aligned with the cardinal points of the compass, with an accuracy that rivals modern engineering standards. How did a society with primitive tools, no known wheel technology, and limited mechanical apparatus achieve such feats? Alien proponents suggest that the Egyptians may have received technical guidance, or that advanced technology, perhaps even anti-gravity devices, was provided by extraterrestrial visitors to move and position the massive stones. Carvings and hieroglyphs within Egyptian temples and tombs also provide fodder for ancient alien theories. One frequently cited example is the Dendera light, an image found in the Hathor temple at Dendera that some interpret as a depiction of a large electric light bulb or energy source. While mainstream Egyptologists explain the image as a symbolic representation of creation mythology, alternative theorists argue that it may represent knowledge of advanced technology shared by otherworldly beings. Similarly, certain depictions of what appear to be humanoid figures with elongated heads, sometimes associated with gods or pharaohs, are seen by some as evidence of extraterrestrial contact. The notion is that these beings were not merely symbolic representations, but actual depictions of visitors who influenced Egyptian culture and religion. The advanced astronomical knowledge possessed by the ancient Egyptians is another cornerstone of the alien hypothesis. The alignment of the pyramids with certain stars and constellations, particularly Orion's belt, is often cited as evidence that the Egyptians were guided by a higher intelligence. Some theorists go so far as to suggest that the pyramids were built not just as tombs, but as energy-producing devices or as markers to guide alien spacecraft. The intricate mathematical relationships found in the dimensions of the Great Pyramid, such as its correlation to the Golden Ratio or its purported encoding of the Earth's dimensions, are often interpreted as too sophisticated to have been achieved without outside assistance. Skeptics, however, have offered more conventional explanations for these mysteries. The construction of the pyramids, they argue, was the result of centuries of trial and error, combined with a highly organized workforce, advanced planning, and innovative engineering techniques. The ancient Egyptians were masterful observers of the natural world, and their knowledge of the stars and the movement of the sun was honed over generations. Rather than alien intervention, it was the human ability to adapt, innovate, and pass down knowledge that allowed them to achieve their monumental feats. Mainstream Egyptologists also point out that the so-called alien-like depictions in carvings and statues can be explained by artistic conventions, religious symbolism, and cultural context. The elongated heads, for example, are often associated with the symbolic depiction of divine or royal status, rather than literal representations of extraterrestrials. Similarly, the Dendera light is widely understood as a religious motif tied to the creation myth rather than a schematic for a high-tech device. Despite these counter-arguments, the ancient alien theory continues to capture the imagination of many. It is featured prominently in books, documentaries, and television series that explore unexplained mysteries and alternative history. The allure of the theory lies in its ability to connect humanity's distant past with the possibility of cosmic visitors, bridging the gap between ancient civilizations and the modern search for extraterrestrial life. For some, it offers a sense of wonder and a belief that we are not alone in the universe. For others, it's a reminder that history is full of puzzles and that the human story may be more complex than we currently understand. Ultimately, the ancient Egyptian alien, the Pleiadian Connection. The Pleiades, a cluster of stars visible in the night sky, has captivated human imagination for thousands of years. Known by various cultures as the Seven Sisters, the Pleiades feature prominently in myths and folklore across the globe. Yet, in modern times, they've gained another layer of intrigue through the phenomenon of alleged extraterrestrial contact. A subset of UFO enthusiasts and channelers claim that the Pleiades is home to an advanced alien civilization, often referred to as the Pleiadians or Pleiadians, that has been observing and assisting humanity throughout our history. Pleiadian contact accounts often portray these beings as highly evolved, spiritually advanced, and deeply invested in Earth's welfare. Those who claim to have encountered them describe Pleiadians as humanoid, tall, and fair-skinned, with strikingly bright blue eyes and long, light-colored hair. They are said to emanate a sense of peace, wisdom, and kindness, embodying a higher state of consciousness that transcends our current understanding of existence. One of the most well-known figures associated with the Pleiadian connection is Billy Meier, a Swiss man who, in the 1970s, reported ongoing contacts with beings from the Pleiades. According to Meier, these extraterrestrials were not only far more technologically advanced than us, but also possessed profound spiritual insights. They claim to be concerned with the environmental, social, and spiritual challenges facing humanity, offering guidance on how to live in harmony with the planet and one another. Meier's accounts were accompanied by photographs of UFOs he claimed were Pleiadian craft, as well as extensive writings that detailed their teachings, prophecies, and their vision of a more enlightened human future. Channelers and spiritual mediums also report receiving messages from Pleiadian entities. These messages often emphasize the interconnectedness of all life, the importance of raising one's vibrational frequency, and the need to shift human consciousness from materialism and conflict toward unity and love. Some Pleiadian channeled texts provide instructions on meditation techniques, healing practices, and methods for achieving personal and planetary transformation. For many who follow these teachings, the Pleiadians are viewed as benevolent mentors, quietly guiding humanity toward a brighter future. Skeptics, of course, challenge the credibility of these claims. They point out that no verifiable evidence has been presented to confirm the existence of Pleiadian beings or their supposed spacecraft. Meier's photographs, for example, have been scrutinized and dismissed by many as hoaxes or doctored images. Critics also note that the messages attributed to Pleiadians often mirror existing New Age and spiritual philosophies, leading some to argue that they may be the product of human imagination rather than interstellar contact. Yet the Pleiadian connection continues to hold a strong appeal for a particular segment of the UFO and metaphysical community. In part, this is because the Pleiadian narrative offers a hopeful, uplifting alternative to darker abduction scenarios or government conspiracy theories. Instead of focusing on fear or secrecy, Pleiadian teachings highlight the potential for humanity to evolve spiritually and socially, encouraging individuals to take personal responsibility for their growth and to cultivate compassion, understanding, and a sense of oneness. Cultural fascination with the Pleiadians is also tied to the broader idea that Earth is not isolated in the cosmos. The notion that advanced, enlightened beings from another star system might take an interest in our planet resonates with people seeking answers to life's biggest questions. Why are we here? Are we alone? What is our purpose? The Pleiadian narrative, with its emphasis on spiritual awakening and planetary stewardship, provides a sense of meaning and connection that goes beyond our everyday struggles. Ultimately, whether one views the Pleiadian connection as genuine extraterrestrial contact, a symbolic representation of our higher selves, or simply a modern myth, it serves as a powerful reminder of humanity's enduring fascination with the stars. It invites us to look beyond the familiar and consider the possibility that our world is part of a vast, interconnected universe, one where wisdom, guidance, and hope may come not just from within, but from light years away. The Reptilian conspiracy theory. Among the many ideas within the UFO and extraterrestrial phenomenon, one of the most controversial and widely debated is the Reptilian conspiracy. This theory posits that an advanced race of humanoid reptilian beings, often referred to as reptilians or draconians, has been secretly influencing human affairs for millennia. From ancient mythology to modern conspiracy narratives, the concept of a shadowy reptilian presence has evolved into a complex and polarizing belief system. At its core, the reptilian theory suggests that these beings are highly intelligent, technologically advanced, and able to disguise themselves as humans. Proponents argue that reptilians operate behind the scenes, infiltrating positions of power in government, finance, and media. According to the theory, their goal is to maintain control over human society, keeping humanity divided and unaware of their true influence. This narrative is often tied to broader New World Order conspiracies, where reptilians are thought to be the ultimate puppet masters pulling the strings from the shadows. One of the most prominent figures associated with the reptilian conspiracy is David Icke, a British author and public speaker who popularized the idea in the 1990s. Icke's work builds on earlier science fiction and ufology concepts, but introduces a far-reaching narrative in which reptilian overlords, originating from another star system or dimension, have manipulated human history. He points to ancient texts, mythologies, and artworks that feature serpent-like or dragon-like figures as evidence that humanity has long been aware of these entities. Supporters of the theory often cite the prevalence of serpent and dragon imagery in various ancient cultures, from the snake-like Naga in Hindu and Buddhist traditions to the feathered serpent god Quetzalcoatl of Mesoamerican lore. They argue that these recurring motifs hint at a long-standing awareness of reptilian beings. They suggest that myths and legends were inspired by real encounters with an ancient reptilian presence that shaped human civilization. Some even claim that certain bloodlines, often associated with royal families or influential leaders, carry a reptilian DNA that connects them to these extraterrestrial overlords. Skeptics and critics, however, are quick to point out the lack of empirical evidence to support these claims. Many argue that the reptilian conspiracy is built on speculative interpretations of myths and symbols, rather than tangible proof. The theory's reliance on ancient artwork and folklore as evidence is often dismissed as a form of pareidolia, seeing meaningful patterns in random or unrelated information. Furthermore, Icke's assertions and those of other reptilian theorists have been criticized as overly speculative, lacking rigorous validation, and, at times, promoting divisive or unfounded ideas. One of the most contentious aspects of the Reptilian conspiracy is its impact on modern discourse. While some view it as harmless speculation or entertainment, others believe it can distract from genuine societal issues. By focusing on hidden reptilian overlords, critics argue that the theory can lead people away from addressing real-world problems, like economic inequality, corruption, and environmental challenges. Instead, it shifts blame to a shadowy, non-human entity, creating a sense of powerlessness rather than encouraging actionable change. Despite the skepticism, the Reptilian conspiracy remains a popular topic within certain segments of the UFO and conspiracy theory communities. Its allure lies in its grand, all-encompassing narrative. It offers a simple explanation for the complexity of human history and current events. A hidden force has been in control all along. For some, this idea provides a framework for making sense of the world's injustices and mysteries. It feeds into a broader cultural fascination with hidden truths, secret societies, and the possibility of extraterrestrial influence. In the end, the Reptilian conspiracy is perhaps best understood not as a proven reality, but as a modern myth that reflects humanity's enduring curiosity about the unknown. It serves as a reminder that our collective imagination, shaped by thousands of years of storytelling, continues to explore the boundaries of possibility, however improbable those boundaries may seem. Extraterrestrial life and the Drake equation. One of the most enduring questions in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence is not only whether alien life exists, but how likely it is to find civilizations capable of communication. This question has driven decades of scientific exploration, leading to thought-provoking concepts like the Drake equation. Developed in 1961 by astrophysicist Frank Drake, the equation provides a framework for estimating the number of advanced extraterrestrial civilizations in our galaxy. While it doesn't offer concrete answers, the Drake equation serves as a guide to thinking about the factors that could influence the prevalence of alien life. The equation itself is deceptively simple at first glance. It multiplies a series of variables to yield an estimate of n, the number of civilizations in the Milky Way with which we might communicate. These variables include the rate of star formation in the galaxy, the fraction of those stars with planets, the number of planets per star that could support life, the fraction of those planets where life actually arises, the fraction of life bearing planets that develop intelligent beings, the fraction of intelligent civilizations that produce detectable signals, and the length of time those signals remain detectable. While some variables, like the rate of star formation, are well understood, others, particularly those related to life and intelligence, remain largely speculative. The beauty of the Drake equation lies in how it encourages scientists and thinkers to break down the problem into smaller, more manageable pieces. It prompts questions such as, what types of stars are most likely to host habitable planets? How common are Earth-like planets in habitable zones? What conditions lead to the emergence of life? And if life emerges, how likely is it to evolve into intelligent, technological civilizations? By considering each step, the equation offers a roadmap for future research, focusing attention on areas where our knowledge is still incomplete. Recent advancements in astronomy have helped to refine some of the equation's terms. The discovery of thousands of exoplanets, planets orbiting other stars, has provided a wealth of data on how many stars have planetary systems and how common potentially habitable planets might be. While we once had to guess at the number of Earth-like worlds, current estimates suggest there could be billions in our galaxy alone. Missions like Kepler and TESS have shown that planets are not rare exceptions, but rather a common feature of stars, giving us greater confidence in the early factors of the Drake equation. However, the terms related to life and intelligence remain elusive. We have only one known example of a life-bearing planet, our own, and we don't yet understand the processes that led to life's emergence. Did life arise quickly once conditions were right, or did it require an improbable chain of events? If life is common, does intelligence inevitably follow, or are intelligent civilizations exceedingly rare outliers? The answers to these questions could dramatically alter the outcome of the Drake equation. Another challenge lies in the fraction of civilizations that produce detectable signals. While humans have been broadcasting radio waves for over a century, those signals become fainter and harder to detect as they travel farther from Earth. How many other civilizations might be sending out similar signals? Are they using forms of communication we haven't discovered yet? Or could many advanced civilizations choose not to broadcast at all, either for security reasons or because their technology no longer relies on easily detectable emissions? These uncertainties highlight the complexity of using the Drake equation to make precise predictions. Despite these unknowns, the Drake equation remains a powerful tool for framing our search for extraterrestrial life. It has inspired projects like the SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, program, which scans the skies for signs of artificial signals. It has also sparked philosophical debates about the nature of intelligence, the potential lifespan of civilizations, and the future of humanity's place in the cosmos. Even if we never pin down every variable with absolute certainty, the equation forces us to confront the profound possibility that we may not be alone. In a broader sense, the Drake equation reminds us of the vastness of the galaxy and the sheer number of opportunities for life to exist. Each term invites us to explore more deeply, to ask better questions, and to refine our methods. It reflects our curiosity, our willingness to look beyond our own world, and our hope that somewhere among the stars, another civilization is waiting to make contact. Whether we find them tomorrow, centuries from now, or never at all, the equation remains a testament to our enduring quest to understand the universe and our place within it. Alien contact in the digital age. As technology evolves at a breakneck pace, so too do our means of searching for and potentially communicating with extraterrestrial intelligence. In the past, detecting alien civilizations often hinged on massive radio telescopes scanning for faint signals from the cosmos. Today, we find ourselves in an entirely new era, one where digital communication, artificial intelligence, and global connectivity redefine the scope and methodology of the search. The idea of alien contact in the digital age invites us to explore how our modern tools, networks, and knowledge might change the way we approach the possibility of finding and interacting with other intelligent beings. In the early days of SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, the primary focus was on listening for narrowband radio signals, beacons, that might be intentionally sent by an advanced civilization. However, as our own technology has changed, so has our understanding of how an alien civilization might choose to communicate. We've entered an era dominated by data packets, fiber optics, and complex digital encoding. What if extraterrestrial signals are hidden in ways we didn't anticipate, embedded in patterns of light, or encrypted in forms we're only beginning to recognize? One major shift in the digital age is the use of artificial intelligence, AI, in the search for alien contact. Traditional methods often relied on human analysts poring over large volumes of data, looking for anomalies or patterns that stood out. Today, machine learning algorithms can sift through vast data sets at unprecedented speeds, identifying subtle signals that might go unnoticed by the human eye. By training these algorithms to recognize the hallmarks of artificial transmission, such as non-random patterns or unusual spectral characteristics, we increase our chances of detecting something truly extraordinary. Moreover, the rise of citizen science and online collaboration has brought millions of people into the search. Distributed computing projects like SETI at home harness the processing power of personal computers worldwide, allowing everyday individuals to contribute to the hunt for alien signals. At the same time, crowdsourcing initiatives enable amateur astronomers and curious enthusiasts to analyze data, search for anomalies, and even propose new strategies for contact. This democratization of the search creates a vast interconnected network of human and machine intelligence working toward a common goal. Another critical aspect of the digital age is the shift from purely radio-based searches to a multimodal approach. In addition to listening for radio waves, astronomers are now exploring optical communication, laser pulses, and other forms of electromagnetic signals that might be used by advanced civilizations. High-powered lasers, for example, could theoretically transmit data across immense distances, creating a techno-signature that we might detect. These methods leverage advances in photonics and quantum communication, opening up entirely new channels for potential contact. The digital age also transforms how we imagine a response. Should we detect a definitive signal, one clearly not of human origin, the process of decoding and interpreting it would rely heavily on our advanced computational tools. It might not be a simple hello, but rather a deeply encrypted stream of information. Machine learning models, cryptographic techniques, and even quantum computers could play a role in unraveling the message's meaning. This raises philosophical questions as well. What if we receive data that we cannot yet understand? Would it inspire new breakthroughs, or would it remain an enigmatic clue about our place in the cosmos? Finally, the digital age fosters a new cultural and ethical context for thinking about alien contact. The internet and social media have accelerated the spread of information and misinformation. A potential discovery of extraterrestrial intelligence would be shared and debated on a global scale within minutes. This hyper-connectivity might bring humanity together in awe and wonder, but it could also lead to confusion, fear, or even conflict. How we handle this information and how we ensure that accurate, thoughtful interpretations prevail would be as important as the discovery itself. In the end, the digital age reshapes every facet of the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, from how we look to how we respond. It invites us to think beyond traditional approaches and imagine entirely new ways of understanding the universe. As we continue to advance technologically, we may find that the tools we've built to connect with one another could also serve as our bridge to the stars. And if an alien civilization is out there, reaching across the void, it may be our digital ingenuity that finally allows us to hear their call. The Black Knight Satellite Mystery. Among the many enigmatic tales of UFO lore, the Black Knight Satellite stands out as one of the most persistent and mysterious. Often described as an unidentified object orbiting Earth, the Black Knight has captured imaginations for decades. Its origins are shrouded in speculation, and it is frequently cited as evidence of extraterrestrial involvement with humanity, either as a long-term surveillance probe, an ancient alien artifact, or even a piece of lost, advanced technology from an earlier Earth civilization. The story of the Black Knight satellite first gained widespread attention in the mid-20th century, but some enthusiasts trace its origins back much further. Early references to a mystery object in orbit appeared in the 1950s, when newspapers and UFO researchers began speculating about unknown signals detected by radio operators. The notion was that this mysterious object had been circling Earth for years, possibly centuries, before it was noticed. By the time the space race was underway, the Black Knight legend had evolved into the idea that it was not human-made, but rather the relic of an advanced alien civilization that placed it in orbit long ago. Part of the mystique surrounding the Black Knight comes from its alleged appearance in various photographs taken by early space missions. In particular, images taken by NASA's STS-88 mission in 1998, the first space shuttle mission to assemble the International Space Station, show a dark, irregular object floating in orbit. These photos have been repeatedly shared and analyzed by UFO researchers, with many claiming they depict the Black Knight satellite. The images show what appears to be a metallic, asymmetrical object that some interpret as a large, artificial structure. However, NASA has stated that the object is likely space debris, possibly a thermal blanket that was accidentally jettisoned during an earlier mission. Supporters of the Black Knight theory often point to unusual radio signals detected in the early days of satellite communication. In the 1960s, researchers like Nikola Tesla and later amateur radio enthusiasts reported receiving unexplained signals that seemed to originate from orbit. While these signals have been attributed to natural phenomena, such as reflections from the moon or even experimental satellites, the legend persisted that they were somehow connected to the Black Knight. Some proponents of the Black Knight theory argue that it could be a monitoring device placed in orbit by extraterrestrials to observe humanity's progress over thousands of years. According to this view, the Black Knight serves as a passive sentinel, gathering data and waiting until humanity reaches a certain level of technological or social development before making its presence known. Others suggest that it might be a long-forgotten piece of ancient human technology, evidence of a lost advanced civilization that achieved orbit before recorded history, only to be wiped out by some cataclysmic event. Critics and mainstream scientists remain skeptical of these claims. They point out that the evidence for the Black Knight is largely circumstantial. The images attributed to it are often identified as mundane objects, like space debris or thermal blankets. The signals associated with it have not been conclusively linked to a single source, and many can be explained by known phenomena. Furthermore, there is no verifiable documentation or credible scientific observation that confirms the Black Knight's existence as anything more than a UFO legend. Nonetheless, the Black Knight satellite continues to capture the imagination of people around the world. Its enduring popularity is partly due to its compelling narrative, a mysterious, alien artifact hiding in plain sight, just beyond our atmosphere. It represents a tantalizing what-if scenario. What if we are not alone? And what if someone or something has been watching us all along? Whether seen as a piece of space junk or an alien probe, the Black Knight remains an iconic example of the blend of science, speculation, and storytelling that defines much of UFO mythology. The Interdimensional Hypothesis. The search for answers to the UFO phenomenon often leads to the question of origin. Traditionally, many assume that unidentified flying objects must come from distant stars or planets. However, an alternative idea, the interdimensional hypothesis, suggests that these mysterious entities and craft might not be travelers from outer space at all, but rather visitors from other dimensions. This perspective invites us to reconsider the very nature of reality and the possibility that UFO encounters are not just extraterrestrial, but extra-dimensional. The interdimensional hypothesis proposes that what we perceive as UFOs could be manifestations from parallel universes, higher planes of existence, or realms that coexist alongside our own. According to this idea, these entities and craft may not need to traverse light years of space to reach us. Instead, they might simply cross over from a dimension that exists just outside our normal perception. Proponents of this theory argue that such a model could explain why UFOs often seem to defy conventional physics, disappearing and reappearing, changing shape, or moving at speeds that would be impossible under our understanding of natural laws. One of the main draws of the interdimensional hypothesis is that it addresses some of the most baffling aspects of UFO encounters. For example, many sightings involve objects that suddenly vanish without a trace or move in ways that seem to ignore inertia, gravity, or the limitations of materials. If these objects are not constrained by our physical universe, their behavior might make more sense. Instead of asking how such craft could withstand enormous g-forces or travel faster than the speed of light, the interdimensional hypothesis suggests they are simply operating under a different set of rules, those of their home dimension. The theory also provides a potential explanation for why direct evidence of extraterrestrial life remains elusive. If UFOs and their occupants come from a dimension that doesn't leave behind traditional physical traces, then it would follow that we haven't found wreckage or biological samples. These visitors might not leave the same kind of evidence as something that originates in our own universe. The anomalies reported in UFO cases, such as sudden disappearances, changes in form, or objects that seem not quite solid, could be manifestations of interdimensional shifts rather than technology from another star system. In addition, the interdimensional hypothesis resonates with certain paranormal phenomena that have long been associated with UFO encounters. Reports of strange beings, shifts in perception, and the feeling that time has slowed down or stopped are not unique to sightings of flying craft. Similar experiences are described in encounters with apparitions, near-death experiences, and other unexplained events. This has led some researchers to speculate that all of these phenomena might have a common source: interactions between our dimension and others. Critics of the interdimensional hypothesis, however, point out that it remains speculative and difficult to test. Unlike the idea of extraterrestrial visitation, which could be supported by physical evidence such as a recovered spacecraft or alien biology, the interdimensional concept relies heavily on theoretical physics and metaphysics. While quantum mechanics and string theory have opened the door to discussions of multiple dimensions, there is no direct evidence that these dimensions are inhabited or that they can interact with our own in the ways described by UFO witnesses. Nevertheless, the interdimensional hypothesis continues to intrigue both researchers and enthusiasts because it challenges us to expand our understanding of reality. If other dimensions exist, then our universe may be just one of many layers of existence. UFO encounters, rather than representing contact with far-off civilizations, could be glimpses into realms that are ever present but hidden from our normal senses. This possibility broadens the scope of what UFOs could be, transforming them from distant visitors into near neighbors, separated not by vast distances, but by the thin veil of another dimension. Alien technology and reverse engineering. One of the most tantalizing theories in the UFO phenomenon is the idea that humanity may have acquired advanced alien technology and is working to reverse engineer it in secret. This notion, frequently tied to well-known incidents like Roswell, fuels speculation that governments, or even private entities, possess materials and knowledge far beyond our current understanding. The prospect of reverse engineering alien technology raises profound questions about what breakthroughs might be possible, what risks are involved, and how such advancements could reshape society if ever revealed. The modern narrative of alien technology reverse engineering often traces back to the 1947 Roswell crash. According to some accounts, the debris recovered from the New Mexico desert included not only strange alloys and unidentifiable materials, but also devices or components that defied human manufacturing capabilities. Although the US military officially stated that the recovered debris was from a weather balloon, the incident sparked decades of speculation that pieces of alien craft were quietly whisked away for analysis. The so-called Roswell UFO remains one of the most famous and enduring symbols of potential extraterrestrial reverse engineering. If the accounts are true, reverse engineering such advanced materials would present extraordinary challenges. Alien technology might operate under principles entirely unfamiliar to our current understanding of physics and engineering. Imagine, for instance, a propulsion system that doesn't rely on conventional fuel or aerodynamics, but instead manipulates gravity, space-time, or quantum fields. Scientists attempting to understand such a system would have to grapple with phenomena that may not yet be fully theorized, let alone experimentally confirmed. The process would be less like copying a design and more like trying to decipher an advanced alien textbook written in an unknown language. One recurring claim in UFO lore is that certain leaps in human technology, from the development of fiber optics and microchips to advances in materials science, came from studying alien artifacts. While mainstream scientists dismiss such claims as speculative, proponents argue that certain innovations appeared remarkably quickly following alleged UFO crashes or government retrievals of unknown objects. Could alien materials have provided clues that inspired human breakthroughs, even if the full potential of the technology wasn't fully understood? Supporters of this theory suggest that the government, military contractors, or private research labs may have gained incremental insights by studying alien components, leading to technologies that seem miraculous by mid-20th century standards. Yet, reverse engineering alien technology isn't just about what can be learned. It's also about the ethical and social implications of keeping such discoveries secret. If governments or private entities truly have access to transformative technologies, such as propulsion systems that could end reliance on fossil fuels, materials that revolutionize energy storage, or medical advancements that extend human lifespans, then withholding this information could be seen as a profound disservice to humanity. Critics of secrecy argue that such breakthroughs could alleviate many of the world's most pressing problems, from climate change to global health crises. The counter-argument, however, is that revealing these technologies prematurely might lead to unintended consequences, including military conflicts, economic disruption, or even widespread panic. Another challenge lies in the potential dangers of alien technologies. If the physics or underlying principles of these systems are not well understood, experimenting with them could be hazardous. Consider the possibility of attempting to power an unknown device without comprehending its energy output or environmental effects. The risks could range from catastrophic accidents to long-term consequences that aren't immediately apparent. This might explain why, if such programs exist, progress is slow, and why revelations to the public remain highly controlled or entirely absent. Critics of the reverse engineering theory also point to a lack of hard evidence. While many stories circulate about mysterious materials and secret programs, concrete proof, such as a verifiable, unearthly component or a functioning alien device, has yet to be produced in a manner that satisfies scientific scrutiny. Skeptics argue that stories of reverse engineering are more likely fueled by Cold War-era secrecy, the blending of science fiction with reality, and the human tendency to seek extraordinary explanations for rapid technological progress. Still, the allure of reverse engineering alien technology persists, largely because it offers a vision of human potential unbound by our current limitations. If true, it suggests that we are not only being watched by more advanced civilizations, but that we may already be benefiting from their knowledge. It hints at a future where breakthroughs in energy, transportation, and material science could come from understanding principles far beyond our current grasp. Whether the theory represents a hidden truth or an elaborate modern myth, the idea of reverse engineering alien technology remains one of the most compelling and controversial threads in the UFO narrative. It speaks to both our aspirations as a species to reach beyond our current horizons and our anxieties about the unknown, secrecy, and the balance of power in a world that may already hold the keys to unimaginable advancements. Theories on alien hybridization. One of the more unusual and controversial ideas within the field of ufology is the notion that extraterrestrials have been conducting hybridization programs. According to this theory, alien species, often described as greys or other humanoid beings, are blending their genetics with human DNA to create a new kind of hybrid life form. Proponents argue that these hybrids might serve a variety of purposes, from ensuring the survival of a dying alien species to creating a bridge between humans and extraterrestrials, or even preparing humanity for a future evolutionary leap. Reports of alien abduction often play a central role in these hybridization claims. Abductees frequently describe being taken aboard strange craft, where they undergo medical examinations. Some recount procedures that appear to involve reproductive experiments, such as the extraction of eggs or sperm. Others claim to have seen hybrid children, beings that appear to be a mix of human and alien traits. These hybrids are often described as having large, almond-shaped eyes, smaller facial features, and a slender, fragile physique that blends the characteristics of both species. One well-known figure associated with the hybridization narrative is Dr. David Jacobs, a retired professor of history who has conducted hundreds of hypnosis sessions with individuals claiming to have been abducted. Jacobs suggests that the purpose of alien abduction is primarily reproductive, aimed at creating a new hybrid population. In his view, the aliens involved in these programs are methodically integrating their genetics with ours, resulting in hybrids that are increasingly indistinguishable from humans. Jacobs even speculates that these hybrids may already live among us, subtly influencing human society. Another interpretation of the hybridization theory is more spiritual in nature. Some believe that the hybrids are part of a cosmic plan to raise human consciousness, or to facilitate a future where humanity and extraterrestrial beings coexist peacefully. In this perspective, the blending of genetics is less about survival and more about creating a harmonious union of two intelligent species. Proponents of this view often frame alien hybrids as a hopeful sign that humanity is being prepared for a larger role in a galactic community. Critics and skeptics, however, find these claims difficult to substantiate. The lack of concrete physical evidence, such as verified biological samples or peer-reviewed scientific studies, makes it challenging to evaluate the validity of hybridization theories. Many of the accounts rely on anecdotal testimony, often recovered through hypnosis, which some researchers argue can produce false memories or be influenced by leading questions. Without hard evidence, hybridization remains a matter of speculation rather than scientific fact. Another point of contention is the question of motive. Why would advanced extraterrestrial civilizations, potentially millions of years more evolved than us, need human DNA? Some theorists suggest that alien species might be facing genetic decline or reproductive challenges, and that human genetic material offers a solution. Others propose that it's not about need at all, but rather a long-term experiment, an attempt to study evolutionary processes, gain a deeper understanding of biological diversity, or create a new type of being that merges the best traits of both species. There's also the cultural aspect to consider. The hybridization narrative reflects deep-seated fears and hopes about the future of humanity. In a world grappling with rapid technological change, environmental challenges, and questions about identity, the hybrid story serves as a metaphor for blending the known and the unknown, the human and the alien. It raises questions about what it means to be human, how we define ourselves, and how we might change in the face of encounters with other forms of intelligence. While the theories of alien hybridization remain speculative, they continue to fascinate and provoke discussion. Whether viewed as a literal program conducted by extraterrestrials or as a symbolic exploration of our own evolution and potential, the idea challenges us to think about what lies beyond our current understanding of biology, identity, and the future of our species.